On behalf of the organizer, I would like to thank all of you for your time and interest in joining this webinar. My name is Aiman, and I will be hosting the webinar session for today. Before we proceed, I would like to invite Mr. Iqmal to recite the dua. Mr. Iqmal.
Yep, thank you. Al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما وتفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما ولا تجعل اللهم فينا ولا معنا ولا من يتبعنا تقيا ولا مطرودا ولا محروما. اللهم اجعل خير أعمالنا آخرة وخير أعمالنا خواتمها وخير الأيامنا يوم القاك به. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا ولوالدينا وارحمهما كما ربيانا صغيرا. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين يا رب العالمين.
Thank you, Mr. Iqmal. Dear participants, this webinar was organized as an initiative to enable the knowledge sharing between industries and academic, particularly in cybersecurity and digital forensic. We believe that through the knowledge and experience shared by the expert in the field will be beneficial to all, especially in generating ideas for academic research that are aligned with the current needs, inshallah. Today, we are very fortunate to have two experts in field, that is Ms. Afika and Mr. Hayan. Our honorable speaker today, that Ms. Afika, has a professional certification in NCASE Digital Forensic, Certified Cyber Defender Associate, Celebrate Mobile Forensic Fundamental, Celebrate Certified Operator, and much more. And she also an expert witness on 2019 and have a lot of speaking and engagement in few university in Malaysia. While for Mr. Hayan, he has a certificate in Magnet Certified Forensic Examiner, Celebrate Certified Physical Analyst, and Celebrate Certified Operator, and much more. And for speaking engagement, he had fire forensic photography at ABPM Wilayah Telengah on September, pengenalan bukti digital at Immigrant Academy on August, and few more. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Ms. Afika as our first speaker for today. Before I pass session to Ms. Afika, I would like to remind all participants to mute your microphone when you are not speaking. You may ask questions verbally to the speaker at the end of the presentation, or you may write question in the chat box. With that reminder, I will now pass the session to Ms. Afika.
Boleh dengar?
Okay.
Okey. Sekejap
Okay. Okay, nampak?
Slide nampak?
Nampak.
Gerak tak dekat skrin kalau saya gerakkan?
Gerak.
Okay.
Gerak.
Alright. Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, I would like to send my lab director, Mr. Rahmat Abuno, regards. And because he cannot attend today's session, it was supposed to be his session. However, he got another event that he needs to attend in Penang. So I will be here presenting on his behalf instead. Alright, before that, I am Afika. I am one of the forensic analysts in Malaysian Communication and Multimedia Commission. Okay. For today's session is ethical, legal, and policies in cybersecurity and digital forensics. However, I will focus more on forensics, but keep this in mind, the concept is more or like the same, so you can use it anywhere. In the industry, in education, because ethics, legal, and policies, they are chained together. So if let's say you break one chain, there's consequences in the other two. All right. So without further ado, I will start my session. But before that, I was told that today's session would be bachelor students in final year, master students, and some people from the industry. So whoever wanted to share their experience, feel free to do so in the chat box. It will make this session more interesting. I will stop the session 15 minutes before my session ends, which is at 10:30. So 10:15, I will end my session to open for Q&A. You can either put your question in the chat box or you can ask me directly later on when I'm done with the presentation. So without further ado, let's begin for today's session. So ethical, legal, and policies in cybersecurity and digital forensics. All right. Okay. This is the agenda for today. A bit of introduction of our department. What is basically ethics? Ethics as digital forensic practitioner, the current issues and challenges in the forensic field. So a little bit about the forensics department in MCMC. We were established in 2013. All right. So our main objective to establish our department was to cater the cases internal, because before this we outsource our cases to other forensics lab, but then the time of one cases to be done, it takes a lot of time, so we decided to establish. Mr. Rahman Abuno was the person in charge, so he decided to establish the forensic lab in MCMC instead. So what we provide is we provide a professional technical expertise to law enforcement agencies, to prosecution, because all of the cases that we did, we will bring to the court. And then if we are called upon, we will give an expert witness or testimony in court regarding the case that we did. And then, as you can see, some of the technical assistance that we give to the law enforcement agencies is the first responder, which is we go to the crime scene together with the internal and external parties of law enforcement, and we give them advice on what evidence or what equipment or tools to be seized on the crime scene. Because bear in mind, not everything should be seized. If there's 100 computer, we will not recommend to take 100 of it, because it will take a long time for us to analyze each of the evidence that had been seized. And then after that, we give out our forensic analysis, data preservation, mainly on social media, consists of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and so on. Data recovery, forensic intelligence, expert witness, and also we engage with the universities and other law enforcement agencies on giving workshops, seminars, and so on. So our lab is accredited under SAM, which is Kim Akreditasi Makmur Malaysia, ISO 17025 2017. So we have the competency, and we have been accredited, which makes our testimony in court much more how do you say this? You give the confidence on the judge saying that you're competent enough to give the testimony on court when you have the lab accreditation. Okay. So this is a standard measure that I'm talking about. What is standard measure? It's one of the lab accreditation.
Sorry, actually we can see the slideshow is showing the next slide. 3 slide.
Ni.
2 slide at one time.
Oh, 2 slide. Oh wait. Jap.
Okay.
Okay, sekarang?
Sekarang cuba okay.
Okay. Alright. Thank you. Okay, sekarang okay?
Okay.
Alright. So Standard Malaysia is one of the lab accreditation base for ISO IC 17025. So what it provides is as you can see, a credible accreditation for testing and calibration lab, including medical testing laboratories, and then it endorses the report that we give for internally and internationally and locally as well. Okay, so we shall go to the main topic for today, is ethics. So what do you know about ethics? It is more or less like a guiding principle. There's a very general definition on ethics. Some say it's a principle, some say that it's a standard guidelines, some say that it's just a guide. So it depends on how you want to define it. But at the end of the day, it is right and wrong or good and bad. What I meant by this is that from the good and bad behavior that you've done, there will always be an outcome or consequences from it. So if you do a bad thing, what is the consequences? If you do a good thing, and what is the consequences? So ethics, moral, and integrity is not the same thing. All right, because let's say that ethics is more like it protects the needs and rights in one profession. From my perspective, all right, from my perspective, me as a forensic practitioner, I have my own ethics that I'm holding on to. Okay, I have my own ethics that I'm holding on to. So different people have different ethics. Different people, in terms of profession, in terms of the organization, it depends on how they define it. And then doesn't mean that if a person being honest and they have being honest and they are holding on to their morals, that does not mean that they will not face ethical issues at some point. All right. At the end of the day, at some point, a person in the profession, in any profession, you will face these issues, and it depends on how you will try to prevent it from happening to you, and how you want to mitigate it, on how you will face it when it comes to you straight on. So in forensics lab, all right, as you can see, this is one of the guidelines that we have, we follow, which is the SCLA lab guiding principles of professional responsibility for crime labs and forensic scientists. You can get this, the whole thing, from the internet. You can just download it. You can read it. It's really simple. So there's 3 guidelines that they put. First is professionalism, second is competency and proficiency, and third is clear communication. So professionalism. In one word, as a forensic practitioner, you have to be independent, impartial, detached, and objective, approaching to all. Which means that for an analyst, as example me, I have to be fair when I'm conducting my examinations, when I'm doing my analysis. Conclusion that we do as a forensic analyst must be based on the examination. You cannot add on anything that is not there. If it's A, then it's A. If it's B, then it's B. You cannot put A, B, and C in the report. That is unethical at all. It's like you cannot do that as a forensic analyst, because if you do that from legal perspective, there's going to be a problem when you when you give testimony in court, and when the defense lawyer found out that you add on something that should not be there, and there will be consequences, which I will tell you later on. So keep in mind that for independence, you have to always be neutral when making a case. For us, as soon as we come in, the first thing that our lab director tell us is you have to be neutral on all cases that you need, all cases that we've been assigned. The reason is that we receive many kind of cases. There are some child cases that we take, blackmailing, all cases that under the Communication and Multimedia Act, obscene content. You know, with these cases, you cannot put your emotion when you do the work because it's not professional. So when you do your job, this kind of job, in any job, you have to be neutral and you have to keep thinking about the consequences that will happen if you do this, this, and this. Always keep that in mind. So, so this is where the policy comes in. So each organization, they have their own policy. So you will follow this policy. It depends on how many policies. Some they put 10, some they put 20. So it depends on the organization on how much you want to put it. So you look on the policies and then you ask yourself, how you're going to follow this, as it's already been laid out by the organization itself. And then again, each organization have different one. So it depends on how they're gonna do it, on how they're gonna practice that policy and put it in their job, in their daily job. And then aware of the limitation and give conclusion within the area expertise after the given consequences. So for this part, I can say that the limitations that you need to be aware of when you're doing any job is that you cannot simply give a conclusion based on what you think. In forensics, you need to make the conclusion based on what you find, based on the results that you find. Okay, based on the results that you find, because at the end of the day, I'm talking about digital forensics perspective, all right? If you call yourself as an expert in any job, okay, and if you said something that you shouldn't have, if you add on something that you shouldn't have, at the end of the day, if people find out, the consequences will be on you and the organization that you're working on. So if this comes in when we give testimony in court, when the defense lawyer find out that you're lying about everything, you're lying about your report, you're adding stuff, and then let's say during the examination you decided to tamper with the evidence, which is a major how do you say this? A big how to say this? You make like a huge mistake in your job, which is tampering with evidence. Is the biggest thing, is the biggest major fraud that you should not do in forensics, because if you do that, if they find out that you tampered with evidence, that case automatically will lose in court. All the chain that you have from A to Z is automatic. They won't even look at that, and straight away you will lose the case, because tampering with the evidence in forensics should not happen at all. That's why in forensics we always have this process called hashing. We image the evidence instead. We're doing analysis direct on the evidence. By doing that, we need to keep in mind that the chain of custody is really important. And then what you said, what you put in the report, when you're giving testimony, if you lie about it, you find out at the end of the day the consequences is on you and it is on your organization itself. And the last one is honest communication with all parties. Right, this is involved the lawyer, your clients, our clients, which means the law enforcement agencies. there need to be a two-way communication between us and them. We need to know what it is actually that we need to find out from the evidence, or what case that we are doing from the evidence. And then we need to be honest about like the information relating to the analysis, which is permitted by law. Okay, bear in mind what I'm saying here. The communication that we shared is the one that permitted by law and the agency practice, which means not every information that we can share. It's only some of the information that is needed by the client, and then by the lawyer. Okay, because in forensics, you can find lots of information from analysis itself. So from there, honest communication is really important, especially when you go to court. So the communication between you, let's say an example, MCMC investigation department, and then the lawyer. So if three of these, we have a smooth communication, then at the end of the day, when we go to court, everything will be fine and we won't have any trouble when we give testimony. All right, first, that's for... All right, and then what I can say is that if, let's say, a forensic practitioner he or her lied about their capability, their competency, like being one, you need to have a certain amount of certificate to say that you're competent using these tools, and these tools. You are competent enough to put a report and to give testimony on court. You cannot simply just go in to use all these kind of tools without any certification. Right. The outcome, if let's say you are to be found out that you have nothing, you have no certificates, you lied about your education, and then defense lawyer find out what's going to happen, people are not going to trust you anymore. If let's say I have 50 cases that I've analyzed, all the 50 cases should be reanalyzed again. And if let's say I have given testimony in court for 30 times, it depends on the judge whether he or she decided to look at the cases again and recall everyone to give testimony again based on what I've done. So as you can see, these consequences, it's not only me getting myself into trouble, it will get everyone involved in the cases to be called upon again. So keep that in mind. Professionalism is really important when you're working as in any profession. All right, you as yourself need to be ethical in the profession. So second one is competency and proficiency. So I keep saying that competency and so on. Why I keep saying competency is because you have to commit to career-long learning in forensic disciplines, in any cybersecurity disciplines, in any professions. You have to commit to that learning aspect, all right? Because the longer you are in the industry, and then the more knowledge that you have, the more competence you be. You have cert, and then when people look at you and say, oh, this guy, I've seen this guy at this conference here, and here. And then I cannot say this enough, but knowledge, you could never have enough knowledge. There is always a new thing that you can learn from anyone, all right, from anyone. And then it's really important that keep sharing what you have, not everything. But when I say sharing in terms of the knowledge that you have, and then learn from someone who has more knowledge than you have. From there, you can make yourself a lot better in the job that you do. Okay? And then second one is properly trained and competent through testing prior to examination of the evidence. So here, for us to make sure that we are trained, when a new analyst just joined, he or she are not directly be certified as analyst. No, we will go through like 8 months of probation under a senior analyst. And then we are going to get paired up with them. We're going to learn how to be a first responder. We go to the crime scene. We learn the A to Z on how the evidence moved from the investigation officer towards the retrieving the cases, retrieving the evidence, and then from the technical assistance, how the evidence moved on from A to B to C until Z. So, and then after that, after 8 months of probation, we're going to have a competency test, both for mobile and computer. This competency test is to decide whether we are competent enough to be an analyst. If failed to do so, it decided upon lab director whether he will extend our probation, and then we need to go for another exam. So if we keep failing the exams, we, as the new person who just joined, will not be given any cases at all until he or she pass the examination. So before I forget, for the first point, when I say the career-long learning in the forensic discipline, the point that I forgot to say that is I just assume here it should every organization should have their own policy and an SOP, which is a standard operating procedure, and then it should be practiced as it had been laid out. Besides that, being okay in technical industry, I'm talking about in technical. You have the tools and the software that you need to use. So you need to have the knowledge on every new equipment. So that's why commit a career-long learning is really important. New technology had been emerging every single day. Every single day, people make new things. So every day you have to have the knowledge, and you need to have the passion or commitment to learn something new. Okay, and then when you are committed to the job that you have, from there you can guard against the misuse of methods and validation. Okay, so when a lab, all right, a lab has been accredited under the ISO 17025, you have to follow all of the SOPs that have been laid out on the documents itself. If you fail to do so, you can get a major non-compliance, which can revoke the certificate from the lab. If that happens, then it gives like a bad reputation to the lab itself. And then at the end of the day, we just follow what we have. Again, policy SOP is very important. If you follow this, then there should be no problem. However, to follow an SOP is not easy. Why I say this? Because usually people will put out, oh, we have this standard procedures. Example, like I will give a simple example, like making SOP for making a bread. First of all, you have a dough, and then you do this. You put in the yeast and whatnot, and you put it in the machine, and then you have to wait for like 3 hours, and then you have to wait for 1 hour. And instead of putting in 3 hours, you skip to 2 hours because you don't want to wait for it. So you're not following the SOPs there. You're just taking a shortcut there. So what is the consequences? Your bread is not that delicious enough. So the same concept applies in your profession. You skip one procedure, you skip one process, there's always be consequences. I will keep repeating the same word over and over again because everything that you do will have a consequences. I am talking about ethical today. It will be a long topic. I know it's not interesting, but I will make this interesting for you. And the third is clear communication. Okay, clear communication is very important. between you and your lecturers, between you and your doctors, between you and your peers, it is very important. Why? Because if you don't have a clear communication, there will be a misunderstanding here. And when there's a misunderstanding, there's always something bad that's going to happen in between unless you clear it out. But usually when a misunderstanding happens, that time taken to clear out the misunderstandings is always take a while. It's really take a while from both parties to clear it. So for this profession, as you can see, to have a clear communication, present the education, training experience, and area expertise accurately. So for this part, it is really important in a legal aspect. All right, when we go into court, when before we present our findings, when we go into court, we have a CV ready, and we have like a witness statement ready, and we put every certification that we have in there. Bear in mind, we cannot lie, because when you go into court, you take an oath. If you lie, it will backfire, and you can get sentenced for it, for lying in court. You will get some. You can. Wait, I will check upon that. But because you take oath, if you lied on what you're saying, you lied on giving testimony, there will be consequences on that. And then again, present accurate and complete data in report, testimony, publications, and oral presentations. Like I said, you cannot add more, or you cannot put less in report. Whatever you see, whatever results that you have, you put in the report. For our department, for each cases that we do, we have case objectives that we get from the IOs. IOs, which is investigation officer. So usually, not all the objectives, the results came back positive. We only put what we see. Okay. Let's say there are 10 objectives. I found only 7. So only 7 results I put in my report. I cannot add on 3 more just to satisfy the investigation officer. And say, hey, I found 7, but I can put 3 more, so you can have all the objectives. So it's not easy. Okay. Bear in mind, you do not add on, or you do not put less on your report. Put whatever you find. Okay, in any reports, in any profession. If you want to be ethical, bear in mind. And then do not alter reports or other records or withhold information from surgical or technical litigation advance. Okay. For this part, it means that I've said just now, you do not alter. Okay, here's what usually happens for us in the law enforcement agency. I'm not speaking, I have cases that had been shared by the police outside from Malaysia, some in the US, in UK. They say that when they have this report, they already make the report, all right? They present the report. And then what happened was, they've been told to alter the report. Okay. They've been told to alter report to make the suspect not guilty, because you found the evidence. They found the evidence. What they shared with us, they found the evidence, and they've given an instruction from someone above to alter the report to make it look like the suspect is not guilty. So this is when your ethics come in place. This is when, like I said, even you have the moral, even if you're being honest, it doesn't mean that you won't face it. This is when you yourself will decide whether you're going to do it or not. Okay? So, I agree. Someone said in chat that it's hard. Wait, I will see the chat later when we're done. I saw something about maintaining competence. But yes, for law enforcement agencies, I think it's in any profession, you will be faced like you made this report and being honest and being ethical, and then suddenly someone from above, there's a flying note saying that you need to do this. like an auditor report, any report. So at the end of the day, it comes to you whether you want to change it or not. But consequences. If they find out that you altered the report, the consequences is bad. Everything that you've done, all the hard work that you did, will be just thrown away just like that. Because for forensics, sometimes the cases that we did, it depends on the evidence. It depends on how many evidence that we have. The longest for one cases that we had before was 100 exhibit. That case itself took around a year to complete. Imagine if the analyst is not being ethical and decided just to make the report negative, and then the lawyer finds out, he been called to the court. And the first thing that they find out is that, judge, this forensic analyst is not competent enough, it's not being unethical because he or she altered the report and make it as negative. Straight away, the case, you lose and everything is thrown away. Your job is on the line. And then that's when you cannot go back and regret on what you had done. All right? And then reports are prepared with facts, opinion, and clear interpretation. For the third point, I'm sorry, when I say tactical litigation advantage, it is that when in court, sometimes the lawyer asks, yes or no that I said you did not found this, and this. Yes or no if I said that you are an expert in this, this. When it is a yes or no question, just answer with the yes or no questions. You do not answer with a misleading answer to a judge or jury. This is very important. All right. Do not, as a practitioner, as an analyst, we need to always keep in mind to not mislead our answer. If the evidence is there, say yes. If the evidence is not there, say no. Because in court, the defense lawyer will always take our word and try to twist it, and then suddenly, when we're in the stand, and then he twisted the facts that we've given, and then when he said, all right, Ms. Afika, you said that you agreed with me on this, and this. Let's say I say that my defendant is not, he doesn't do this because he don't have this. The defense lawyer twisted your facts because somehow he finds out that you kind of have a misleading answer there. So it backfires on you. If it's a yes or no question, just say the yes or no question. It's as simple as that. All right. If you don't know anything, just say you don't know. Okay. It's not, how do you say this? Because some people have this perception of, if I say I don't know, people will look down on me. People will say that I don't have enough knowledge on it, and I don't want to be looked down upon. So I would just say I know about it, and I would just look on it later. So it's not a good thing to practice if you do that. If you don't know about it, just say you don't know. Go back, research on it, and then come back and share what you have. It's as simple as that. Okay. All right. So I've said about the accreditation. I said that we have under ISO IEC 17025. So these are the two clauses inside the ISO which we have to follow. Is clause 4.1 on impartiality and clause 4.2 on confidentiality. As you can see for 4.1, so lab shall be committed to impartiality. All right. How to commit to impartiality? By having non-disclosure agreement. All right. You sign the non-disclosure agreement saying that by signing this, we shall not share this with the public. We shall not share this with anyone who is not permitted to do so. All right. Having NDAs is very important. It saves you even from the higher ups. If they ask you for something, you said we cannot give this because we have the NDAs. We have to follow the NDAs. If we do not follow this, if we do not comply, we will have a non-compliance, and our certificate can be revoked. This is one of the way to save the organization. And then, like I said, why do we have NDA? NDA is non-disclosure agreement. For those who don't know, this is mainly to avoid impartiality, like bias, on bias judgment, and then integrity of operation. If, let's say, one of these is happen, you being biased, you're not being impartial, what's going to happen is that first, the reliability of the lab, the reliability of the analyst, the reliability of the organization will be questioned. And then as soon as that happens, the competency will diminish straight away. It's gone just like that, just by not being impartial. All right. And then how to avoid this is by following the ISO. Again, I said by following the ISO. If you have ISO, follow the ISO. By doing this, you will ensure, by following the ISO that you have, that have been accredited, you will ensure the personnel free from any internal and external pressure or interference. All right. Again, pressure and interference from third party that may affect the impartiality. All right. So usually this happens from above. The pressure is from above, from the clients, from external, from internal. You never know. If you have this might save you from that. Okay. And then you can identify risk by doing risk assessment. So why we do risk assessment? It is very important. It is to eliminate, identify, let me rephrase that. To eliminate, identify, and minimize the risk. All right, because it will always be there. It's just how you're going to prevent it. So before you're preventing it, you have to identify what is the risk. It's this, and this. Maybe you have to do risk assessment within, like, some organization do it 3 times in a year. Some 2. If critical, maybe they will always do it twice. They will do it like every 2 months. They will do one assessment. They will update it over and over again. So by this, you can reduce the risk itself. And then clause 4.2 are talking about confidentiality. So confidentiality, be responsible on all information legally obtained or created during lab activities. Again, whatever that we found out, whatever that we had during our analysis, we have to confidentiality. We have to be. It's classified. Everything is classified. You cannot share it with your family. You cannot share it with your friends. Sometimes, on some cases, we cannot even share with our own colleagues in the same. Like, I cannot share some cases with other analysts. All right. Because some of it, okay, let's say whoever gets a child case, all right, a child porn case, they should not share it. The only person who withhold that information is the lab director and the analyst who involved in that case. So other analysts, they won't know about that case itself. Okay, unless there's a special case where all the analysts, there's something that need to be discussed upon, and then with the lab director acknowledgement, maybe then we can discuss with the analyst on that specific case. Okay. Second one is information gained considered as proprietary information and shall be regarded as confidential. Example. All right, I'm gonna go information obtained from other sources, compliant regulators. Okay, for the second point and the third point. Okay, This shall be confidential between the customer and the lab, which means let's say our customer, our client is the police, so it's between the police and the forensic lab. Okay. So all the information that we have from the police shall not be shared. Okay, it cannot be shared even with the clients unless it is permitted by law, unless it is agreed by it is agreed upon both parties, and only then we can share. It's a bit complicated here, because there need to always be two agreements on both sides. Only then it can happen. If it's only one side, then because it's confidentiality, it's classified. You cannot simply share it with anyone. And then all information obtained or created during the performance of lab shall be confidential except as required by law. So what it meant was this last point is specifically pointed out when we give testimony in court. All right, you can only share what you find out in court. I cannot simply bring out my report and then share it to the public. You know, hey, I got this report. You know, this case is an obscene case. Do you want to see the images that I have? That if I do that, it's an instant in, and if the auditor finds out about this, our lab instantly gonna get revoked for the accreditation. Me as analyst, my lab director has the power to revoke me as an analyst in the lab. So it depends on the organization, how they're gonna put impartiality and confidentiality. So maybe some organizations say that for confidentiality, you are not allowed to share information with these clients, and these clients. If you do so, maybe at the end of the day, you're gonna get fired, or you're gonna lose your job, or you're gonna get suspended. So it depends on that. So again, impartiality, confidentiality. If you have this, it might save you, because there's a lot for ISO, but this is for the lab, ISO 70025. All right, you can search for it online. It's there. You can download the whole PDF. So there's a lot of it. You can see it. If you hold on to this, it can save you from certain situation by just having this. Okay. All right. So current issues and challenges. These are some of the issues that I will say some, not all, because there's a lot of issues, but these are the main issues that I will point out. First is the legal and law issues, jurisdiction, technical challenges and resources. So, all right. So I'll go specifically on this legal and law. First, jurisdiction. So, for jurisdiction, we have a limited jurisdiction if the person, if the suspect is out of the country, which means if the suspect in the US, or if the activity was done out from Malaysia, we will have limited, we will have a limited power to get the evidence. If it involves, for us, we have the power to get section under Communication Multimedia Act, section 249. We have the power to ask for password and username. Okay, if the suspect failed to do so, the suspect can get fined and jail for it. But if it happens outside Malaysia, it's kind of hard for us to get the information, unless it is cases that involve child pornography, or child cases, or terrorism. If it involves this kind of case, we can ask for the law enforcement agency in that country, to help us with it. And then Okay, second one is the power on gathering digital evidence. Okay, different law agencies use different act. Like us, we have the Communication and Multimedia Act. So police have a lot. They have the current kesiksaan, the 505, and so on. You can look up on it. So as you can see, the two sections, we have section 233, which is improper use of network facilities or network service. And then, like I said, section 249, access to confidential data, which we can get all, you have to give us all the password and usernames that you have. Fail to do so, fail to comply, you can get fined, you can get jail for it. And then there's like, okay, example for jurisdiction and power, the cases that involves Alvin Vivian, if you know about the cases that the Bakute case on Facebook, apparently only the girlfriend was charged because she was in Malaysia, but the Alvin guy, somehow he ran to US, so we cannot charge him. And he never came back to Malaysia. So only the girlfriend got charged. She was charged, and I don't remember what I think she got fined and jailed if I'm not mistaken, but I'm not sure how much she got fined. But that's the limitation that we have when it involves jurisdiction. And if, let's say, the cases involve for cloud storage outside Malaysia, chances for us to get that information is slim. It's really low. It's really, really low. Right? And then the third one, testimony in court, understanding digital evidence, and then credibility as expert witness. All right. If you... Why I keep saying competency, credibility is very important, because in court at the end of the day, when we give testimony, we have to be transparent, right? We have to be honest on what we find. And then if we are not competent enough, like I said, again, we lied about the certificates that we have, we lied about the knowledge we lied about the experience that we have. Straight away, everything is gone for you. You will not be reliable. You will not be trusted. All the cases that you do will be reanalyzed. All the cases that have been charged by the court it depends on this judge, it shall be open again if the judge decided to do that. I'm not sure in Malaysia if you have that kind of cases that involve forensics. But then what I can share more about legal in terms of ethics, right? Okay. When I say being transparent in court, you can, okay, this is an example, right? You can be racist, you can be sexist, you have to be neutral. You always have to be neutral in court. If, let's say, I have that case, and then suddenly I think that I cannot manage the case because somehow I am emotionally attached to the case. I am angry with the person who do it. I have to meet my lab director straight away and say, sir, I cannot do this case because I think that if I do this case, I'm going to be biased, and my judgment and the results of the case gonna end up getting me in trouble in court. Cases that involves family members, relatives. For us, we have been briefed, as if we get cases like that kind of scenario, straight away we have to tell the lab director to reassign us to another case, and that case will be reassigned to another analyst. Why? Because you will for sure will be biased. Even say you said I'm honest, I'm gonna be neutral. No one gonna trust you in it because you know the person. You know the person. It's either your siblings, either relative, your uncle or your aunt. You know the person. In any way you said, Judge, I am honest. I'm being ethical. I'm being neutral. I am not biased on my judgment. I'm not biased during my examination, during my analysis. No one gonna believe you on that. All right. It's same thing as when you know how a husband and wife cannot be in the same department, just to prevent biased judgment. And there's a few other things. So that's one of the things in legal terms. It is very important because if you're not being neutral enough, if you're not being competent enough, everything is on the line for you. All right. Second one. Second one is the technical challenges. All right. These are some of the technical challenges that we faced. First is anti-forensics techniques. There's a lot of anti-forensic techniques nowadays. Encryption is one of it. Encryption on phones, encryption on PC. It's a thing that some of it we bypass it. We successfully bypassed it, but some of it, if there's encryption, we don't get the password, it's a no-go. Instantly, we can't have anything on it. We don't have a thing on it. All right. I'm sorry, I'm looking up because there's a huge screen in front of me, so I keep looking there instead of my screen. So encryption on phone. All right, it's one of the anti-forensics technique. It's a 50-50 chance that we might bypass it. All right. I know this is like a bit out of topics on ethics, but I just want to share it. Mr. Hayan gonna go through this. I think he's gonna throw even deeply on this topic, so you can look forward to his presentation. And the steganography, if any of you, steganography is like you're hiding something in a picture, or you're hiding something in a notepad, or you change okay, let's say it's a PDF, but it's actually a .txt. You just, stega is like hiding something in something, all right? Usually people will put like in pictures. If a normal person, you've given a .jpeg, suddenly, oh, it's a picture. You just look at it, oh, it's a picture. But for us forensics, it can't always be, we were like, it can't be always a picture. So what did we do? We put it on Hexel. We try to find we look at the header, we look at the footer. We try to use any kind of methods and tools to see whether there's a hidden code behind it. It's really interesting. Stegano is really interesting. So if anyone is interested in it, you can do this for FYP encryption as well. And then skill gap, competency. I keep saying competency throughout my presentation. All right. First, personnel are not competent to do a case. Okay. Only had taken mobile forensics training and a computer and etc. All right. In a lab, usually for us, all of us are competent to do forensic and mobile cases. On certain law enforcement agencies, they have specific specific unit. So this unit is only computer, this unit is only mobile. What happened is, those who only taken computer and those who only taken mobile, they cannot do vice versa. So if I have computer, I don't have mobile, I cannot do mobile. All right. If I do mobile forensics without any certification, I put out a report and my results are on it. And then when I give testimony in court, when I said I put out my resume and I read it to the judge, it will be the first thing the defense lawyer said, all right, you have computer forensic certification, but what about mobile? And if as soon as I said I don't have mobile certification, the thing that's going to happen is that, right, that means that you are not competent enough and you are not reliable enough to do this case, which means all the results that is here are not to be trusted. What happened? Consequences. Cases lose instantly. Okay? And then not enough technical training to do complex cases. All right, what I meant by complex cases is like JTAG and chip-off is one of the methods that we use here. It's like doing an operation on the device. You just want the chip itself. Like for phone, we're gonna open the phone, open the circuit, and we just take the chip to put it on the reader and extract the information. However, not all, how do you say this? Our department, we have like 10 personnel certified on JTAG and chip-off, but not all organizations have this. Getting a certification, it's not cheap. It's very expensive. All right, it's very expensive. The higher the certification is, the much it is more expensive than the normal ones. And each certifications, you have examination. Why? Because they wanted to say that you're certified for it. And then if you fail on the examination, you have to repeat for it again and again and again. All right. So like I said, to stay competent, it's hard. I saw someone say that to be competent and to stay on par with the technology and with everything, you need to have the funds, you need to have the commitment to it. Okay. And then for the third one, incompetence investigation or reading officer. Okay, incompetence investigation, I can give an example. Like, we go to the crime scene. Okay, we go to the crime scene. And then when you go into the crime scene, you cannot simply just go in, take everything and go out. No, it doesn't work that way. CSI is not true. It's 100% not true. You don't just simply go in, you take a strand of hair, oh, it's hair, and you put it and you analyze, oh, you get the results in a day. All right. Especially when it involves computer, you do not complete the case within a day. It is impossible because there's millions of data in the computer. So CSI is a fiction. So if you're not incompetent, okay, here's what happened. The chain of custody started at the crime scene. Okay, everything, the A started at the crime scene. If you break the chain at the crime scene, the rest gonna follows. No matter what, if let's say you break the chain at A, B, C until Z, you follow it. A breaks it, everything breaks. All right. As a raiding officer, you go in. The first thing that we did is we take pictures. Like again, you have the procedures to follow. Everything you have process, you have procedures. Follow it. It's there to be followed. It's there as a guide. You go in, let's say for us, we go in, we take pictures of the crime scene. Our policy is that we, as a forensics, as a first responder on crime scene, we shall not speak to the suspect ever. Even though the suspect is next to me, I will not speak to the suspect. I will speak to the raiding officer, to ask the raiding officer to ask the suspect for the username and password. That is our own policy that we have. It was this. We had a discussion. We put on it. All right, we should not do this. We should not do this. We should not do this. Okay, so we will never ever speak to the suspect unless there's a special case that there's no way that we have to speak to him or her. Okay, that's just one policy that we follow. So at the end of the day, it depends on the company itself. And then technology advancement, knowledge versus tools versus technology. So for this one, how do I say this? Nowadays, the technology is really advanced. You have cloud storage. You have clouds. You have when there's a cloud storage, I can assume that some of it is huge. The size of the storage itself. When that happens, like I said before, we have one. We offer a data preservation for law enforcement, which means we preserve the data by doing that process. The time to preserve the data depends on how huge is the data, mainly on Facebook, on Twitter, and so on. But for cloud, there's always a limitation there. Again, like I said, there's a username, there's a password. The chances of sometimes the suspect are not, not giving cooperation is there as well. Sometimes he doesn't get it. If you don't get the username and password from the suspect, the other ways we can try and get it from the vendor itself. But like Apple itself, they have this. They say we care for the privacy of our users, so we won't comply. We won't give information to the law enforcement agencies, so and so and so forth. So the same thing happening here because of the technology itself. It limits us on getting the evidence that we want. And then you need to always know the latest technology used, encryption types, OS used. Being in the security field, cybersecurity field, being a forensic field, you need to at least know the latest OS, the latest technology. Okay, there's a lot of OS. There's Windows, there's Linux, Debian, there's Android, iOS. You need to at least know this to do the work that you need to do. All right, encryption type, SHA-1. You know, like WhatsApp. WhatsApp uses Signal protocol. Okay, WhatsApp uses Signal protocol, which encrypts the messages. However, we did find a way. There's a cases that I did before where the cases wanted the conversation between the suspect and someone else. What happened was the tools that we used are not okay. All the tools that we use, they have their own research team to update the tools. Let's say they have right now it's April 11. Is it 11? 11, 12 is coming soon. So whenever a new phone comes out, their team already comes out with the new update, but it takes time. All right, sometimes it takes months, sometimes it takes years. Maybe after years they release a patch saying, "Oh, we have the update. We can do this. We can extract information from iOS. This, and this." But with WhatsApp, there's one cases when I extract the data. There's literally nothing. But from when doing the simulation, hand scrolling, which means I look at the phone and I scroll onto the phone, I saw the conversation. What I can do is simulation, which means I take screen capture each and every one of it. And the second one, what I did was, because the first one is more than enough for me to put in the report as an evidence. So I did a research on it. I tried to find a way on how to bypass the Signal protocol. Because Signal protocol keeps updating over and over again. Maybe it's Signal protocol 1, 2, 3. I'm not sure what version it is at the moment. So each version, you can bypass it with a certain amount of brute force, but if they update it to a new one, you cannot read it anymore. So this is one of the. It is an interesting topic if you look on it. Okay. And then lastly, it's now I go to resources challenges. Okay. Manpower, not enough manpower on site and offsite, and finding replacement. All right. This might happen only on some organizations. We only have limited people in our department. And then, okay, for certain, for technical people, all right, especially technical profession, finding a replacement for the person who left is really hard. Let's say the person has 10 years of experience, and he left, and to find another person who have another 10 years, it's impossible. To have the same skill as the person is really impossible. I think this happens to all organizations. Even on education, you have like a professor, a doctor, with a lot of knowledge, and then the person decided, to move to another university. You will not find another person like that person. And finding a replacement is not that instant, especially in technical field. Let's say the person comes in with zero experience. You have to make the person go through various trainings, various workshops, various seminars, to take examinations, and then to get the person certified. It is really, really hard on a replacement. And then resources used per case. All right. For resources used per case, offsite and onsite, what I meant was, okay, if we do a raid on certain crime scene, onsite we use a different source. Offsite we use a different source. What I meant was, we go to the crime scene. We're gonna bring our big bag, huge bag, everything in there. And then we use the thumb drives, we use hard drives to image a server. Maybe we use 5 of it because the server is huge. And then we came back, and then we need to use more. Why? Because maybe at the site, the officer sees phones. All right? And then the officer gonna send the seized items, evidence onto us. And then when we got the phones, we will not do analysis directly on the evidence. For hard drives, we're going to image, which means you're going to duplicate another copy and make analysis on the copy. For phones, you're going to extract all the data and put it into an external drive. So you analyze, and then from the external drive, you're going to dump it into certain tools, and you're going to decode it, and you're going to analyze it from there. Why we do this? To prevent tampering of evidence, okay? And then time taken to finish a case, like I said, some take weeks, years, and months, depends on the evidence. Hence, when we go to the crime scene, an officer needs to be competent on what we give advice. Okay, for us, for forensic, we do not seize evidence. We give advice. We assist the IO or RO on what evidence they can seize. If let's say there's a thumb drive, we say, all right, you can take the thumb drives, you can take the CPU, but you don't have to take the monitor. But keep in mind, there's an AIO monitor, which all-in-one monitor, where the monitor includes the hard disk or SSD in there. So you have to be aware on that. And then tools, limited tools, license, and maintenance. For tools in any organization, maintaining the tools is really important. And specifically if it's a license tool, because you need to renew it every year. So so that's where it comes to financial and budget constraint. Because if you don't have enough budget, how do you want to equip your lab? How do you want to equip your workplace? And then you need to maintain it every year. If let's say suddenly defense lawyer knew that, these tools are, the license is expired, somehow they're gonna know. They're gonna keep asking you, because the defense lawyer keep asking things that are not, sometimes are not, how do you say this? Sometimes the defense lawyer just decided to ask you some random questions. Do you maintain your tools, something like that, just to, take you off from when you're giving testimony. So always need to, so maintenance and license is always a big factor. It's always a big issue on financial in any organization. All right. So if you don't have this, how do you want to equip your lab? How do you want to equip your organization? And then without any financial, how do you want to keep your competency by not going for more certification? So it's hard. Okay, it's hard. So, right, like I said, this is from Warren Buffett. I quote him like, you take 20 years, 10 years of reputation, you just take 5 minutes, within minutes to ruin it. So before you're doing anything, think about this. You have your morals, you have your honesty, the integrity, and so on. But at the end of the day, if the ethics part is not there, you're gonna fall through it. All right. Just before you're doing anything, keep in mind about the consequences over and over again on whatever you do as a student, as a professor, as a lecturer, as a forensic analyst, in any profession that you do. Keep thinking about the consequences that gonna fall on you, on your organization, and on everyone around you. So that's all for my presentation. All right, I'm gonna switch back the slide so I can hit the chat right now. One sec. Okay, jump. All right. Question. All right. Not easy to maintain competency, especially on on professional cert. Yes, it's true. It's not easy, especially on professional cert. Because you have to keep renewing it 2 years. But kena renew. It depends. Kena renew, and then you have to pay for it, and then you have to sit exams. Most of the certificate is there. So whoever is taking chair, you have to make points and you have to renew it by paying fees, if I'm not mistaken. And then we have to avoid any person. Okay, whoever got any questions, feel free to do so. You can type in chat or you can ask me straight away. We have to avoid any personal conflict during the investigation. True, you have to avoid. That's why I said you need to be neutral. On-site, off-site, during analysis, and during raids. Go there, be neutral, avoid any conflict. You cannot have any personal emotional or being personal towards the suspect or so on. If it affects you somehow, you need to straight away ask to be replaced. That's the best way. That's the best way. Jurisdiction is one of the challenges in DF, especially when dealing with cases related to social media, as the servers are all broad. So how you guys handle this kind of cases? For social media, for cases that involves Facebook, Twitter, as long as we have the username and password, we have no problem with it. We can just straight away go and we can make data preservation on it. However, if it involves the server outside Malaysia, we might not be able to do so because the limitation of jurisdiction there, unless, like I said before, it involves terrorism or child abuse or child pornography, then we can ask for the country involved to help us with it. But if it's only just a social media like mailing for hating this person, the let's say the server is on United States, so the cloud storage is there. The person uploaded in there. They would not entertain us on these kind of cases. I hope that question that answers your question. Do we need warrant? Yes, okay. When we go to the crime scene, we need a warrant. That's why, for us, we don't have a warrant. We will always go with either the police or our own investigation department, because to go to a crime scene, when you enter the premise, you need a warrant for that, and then you need a warrant to seize the evidence. So you cannot simply go in without any warrant. Warrant is a must in any rates, in any rates that we go. But as a first responder for the investigation department, yes. For us, no, because we do not seize the items. We only go there to assist them, so they are the one as the first responder that needs the warrant. Can the first responder do that without any warrant? No. Again, you cannot do any raid without any warrant. If the cases is us, only forensics, and police has the warrant. They have the power to go there. So we just follow them. But at the end of the day, no matter what, you need a warrant. All right? For raids. Anything else? So, yep. Oh, okay. Oh. All right. So, okay, you can keep putting the question in chat. I'm gonna pass my session to the second presenter, which is Mr. Hayan. So the question will be answered at the end of his session. Okay, it's gonna combine with his session. So please do so. And then that's all for my part. Thank you very much for inviting me for this session. I hope to see you again if you're interested. I will put my email on the chat if you have any questions, and if you want us to give another webinar, you can email me later on. So from that, thank you again for your ITM, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Ms. Afika, for the energetic presentation.
Waalaikumsalam.
A lot from the presentation just now. Okay, now let's move to our second speaker, Mr. Hayan, to sharing his knowledge.
Assalamualaikum and good morning. Boleh dengar?
Okay, boleh.
Boleh.
Baik, saya tengok nak share sekejap. Uh, ada ke?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Terima kasih. Boleh untuk sesi kali ni, boleh ke kalau saya guna dua language lah? Kebanyakannya bahasa Melayu lah.
Boleh.
Okay. Bila saya tengok tadi masa presentation Cik Afika dah banyak menyentuh tentang challenges dalam digital forensics. Jadi kat sini jika ada perulangan tu saya minta maaf lah, kita buat sebagai pengukuhan sahajalah. Okay. Challenges in digital forensics. Sebelum tu, saya ingin sebut di mana saya ni jenis suka ada participation. Jadi, jika boleh, mohon untuk jika ada persoalan dan sebagainya, boleh terus tanya dalam chat. Jadi kalau saya baca tu, saya boleh terus jawab lah. Okay, challenges in digital forensics. Kita sesi kali ni kita akan tengok tentang kebanyakannya adalah tentang technical challenges. I think kita akan tengok a little bit on other challenges dan juga kita akan tengok career dalam digital forensics. Right, let's move on. Technical challenges.
Okay.
Yang
Abdullah share slide ke?
Ada.
oh tak ada eh?
Tak ada.
Sekejap Tadi ada?
Tadi ada, lepas tu dah.
Tadi ada, hilang tak? Sekejap screen. Desktop. Sorry. Sebentar.
Okay.
Boleh nampak ke? Boleh nampak ke?
Cuba.
Cuba guna presentation mode. Cik Abdullah.
Sekejap ya. Sekejap saya tukar dekat ni lah, komputer depan ni. Komputer ni ada macam masalah sikit. Minta maaf
Okay, tak apa.
Ya, saya tukar komputer kat depan ni. Tempat aplikah tadi.
So siapa ada soalan boleh just letak dekat chat. Nanti at the end of Encik Hayat presentation kami akan jawab lah. So feel free to do so. Okay.
Hebat tu. Okay. Minta maaf banyak-banyak lah First time pula. Alright. Okay, ada dah nampak
Okay, nampak.
Sebab tadi tak jumpa apa nama ni, window di kamera. Okay, challenges in forensics. Tadi Cik Afika dah banyak menerangkan juga tentang challenges. Jadi kalau ada perulangan tu saya minta maaf lah. Tapi kita anggap sebagai pengukuhan. Baik, technical challenges dalam digital forensics. Kenapa kita bercakap tentang digital challenges? Sebab bila kita bercakap tentang hot topics, semuanya perbincangan mengenai bagaimana nak improve. Kan? Jadi bila kita cakap bagi improvement, mestilah macam mana nak overcome current challenges yang ada lah dalam kita punya bidang. Jadi technical challenges yang pertama adalah exponential growth of data volumes. Kalau kita tengok dalam report, data age report, dia menyatakan bahawa by 2025 nanti kita akan ada lebih kurang 175 zettabyte of data di seluruh dunia. Dan 175 zettabyte ni banyak mana sebenarnya? Dan kalau kita tengok bawah zettabyte adalah exabyte. Exabyte bersamaan dengan 1 million terabyte. Zettabyte ni 1 trilion terabyte. Jumlah data semakin meningkat dengan banyaknya. Kalau kita tengok sekarang, hal-hal big data, terutamanya dalam industri. Kalau kita tengok dalam skala yang lebih kecil sekalipun, setiap orang perempuan kat rumah ada berapa? Seorang ada berapa device kat rumah? Kan? Kalau kita tengok, kita ada telefon bimbit. Seorang je ada 1 dan 2, 3. Komputer, tablet. Dan kalau satu keluarga tu dalam satu rumah mau ada 10 ke atas peralatan. Jadi jumlah dan peralatan ni, kalau dulu kita tengok dia punya capacity kan. Mula 32 gig, 64, 128, 1 tera, saiz semakin lama makin meningkat. Bila capacity ataupun saiz semakin lama makin meningkat, jumlah evidence yang ada pun semakin banyak. Bila semakin banyak, bermaksud lagi banyak masa yang diperlukan untuk digital forensic analyst membuat analisa. Okey ke setakat ni? Seterusnya, hardware limitations. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan kat rumah ada komputer. Komputer ni dia orang ada spek dia kan, spek masing-masing. Kan ada yang komputer high spec dan juga medium spec dan low spec. Yang lagi tinggi spek bermaksud lagi baguslah untuk processing. Bila data tadi kita tengok, semakin lama semakin meningkat. Semakin lama semakin banyak. Jadi hardware yang digunakan untuk proses pun perlu makin bagus. Dan bila perlu makin bagus, bermaksud dia sampai satu masa akan ada limitation. Bermaksud kan, sejauh mana kita boleh beli peralatan yang makin tinggi. Contoh, kalau kita nak proses 1 terabyte hard disk, kita ada komputer kita. Dan kalau dekat jabatan forensik kat sini pun, kita ada workstation. Workstation memang custom made untuk buat processing. Itu pun jumlah capacity dia pun ada limitation juga. Sebagai contoh, bila saya buat case kan, kita akan tengok jumlah RAM. Walaupun RAM dah ada dalam 64 gig sebagai contoh, ada masanya bila kita load cases, kita buat processing, RAM tu semakin penuh. Bila penuh ni, dia bukan kadang-kadang tak penuh habis lagi. Tapi bila dia menghampiri semakin penuh, stability hardware tu semakin berkurang. Jadi ada banyak acap kali berlaku sistem crash. Dan sebab apa? Hardware tu tak mampu nak cater keperluan processing data yang semakin banyak. Okey. Macam mana nak tengok ni? Check. Tak boleh nampak. Sekejap Okey. Okey, dah banyak soalan ke? Extend previous cases. Macam Aiman tulis tadi, Aiman Syarul tulis for sesi ni, kalau boleh buka kamera supaya saya boleh tengok. Saya ni suka nak tengok. Dan siapa ada kat sini. Dan juga jika ada soalan kan, kalau tak nak tunggu sampai kat hujung, boleh tanya terus. Nanti kalau saya nampak kat ni, saya saya jawab lah mana yang saya boleh jawab. Tak boleh jawab, saya skip dulu Okay. Types of crime in cybercrime. Kurang jelas lah, boleh email elaborate sikit soalan tu. Okay, sementara tu saya sambung. Technical challenges yang ketiga. Rapid development of new devices. Jadi kalau kita tengok percambahan device capacity memang sangat tinggi, exponential. Tak jauh daripada itu adalah pengeluaran peranti-peranti atau yang baru. Kan kalau kita tengok telefon, setiap tahun keluar yang baru. Setiap manufacturer keluar yang baru. Jadi bila banyak manufacturer yang keluar, dia akan keluarkan lebih banyak model. Dan satu Samsung saja ada berapa jenis, Galaxy-nya dengan sebagainya. iPhone memang dia keluar satu tu je, tapi setiap setahun kalau boleh kan. Kalau terlepas pun setiap 2 tahun dia keluarkan siri yang baru. Jadi bila keluar model-model baru dan sebagainya, kita tengok kat situ ada pelbagai operating system yang mana yang dia punya yang paling kebiasaannya adalah iOS, Android lah. Dan juga kita ada Symbian dan juga BlackBerry punya operating system. Bila dengan pengeluaran banyak device baru, forensic tools mengalami gap di mana mereka nak mengejar compatibility tu. Okay, sebab apa? Bila keluar satu model baru, forensic tools ni perlu diupdate agar dia boleh digunakan untuk membuat analisis peralatan yang baru. Kan? Jadi dia ada gap. Kalau kita tengok sebagai contoh ya, vaksin kan, kalau dalam medical, vaksin bila ada keluar satu penyakit, vaksin tak keluar terus. Sebab apa? Kena ada kajian. Bila kita buat kajian dan sebagainya, research dan sebagainya, and then baru buat tempoh percubaan. Kita cuba vaksin tu, kalau boleh baru boleh pakai. Sama juga dalam teknologi. Dalam forensik ni, bila keluar peralatan baru, manufacturer dia akan membuat versi baru, update, software update, yang mana memerlukan masa. Jadi bila ada gap tu, kat situ ada vulnerability yang mana kita sebagai forensic analyst tak dapat nak cater ataupun nak catch up selaju dengan rapid development of new devices. Boleh? Sunyi pula rasa. Cakap seorang-seorang.
Kalau macam open source punya tools boleh pakai ke?
Okay, dalam forensik tadi Cik Afika ada sebut mengenai dengan kita panggil credibility. Okay, dalam credibility ni Yaya ada juga slide pasal tu, tapi tak apa, saya terangkan je sebab tadi pun Cik Afika dah menerangkan. Credibility ni tujuan pertama defense dalam case prosecution adalah untuk tembak kita punya credibility, betul? Jadi kalau kita guna open source, benda tu tidak digunakan secara meluas dalam industri forensik ataupun dalam bidang forensik. Jadi ada percentage yang mana peralatan tu ataupun software open source tu tak kukuh ataupun tak verified dia punya findings. Apa yang capability dia tu tak boleh disahkan. Berbanding dengan forensic tools yang proprietary, yang dibeli dan diuji. Dan bila ramai orang pakai yang proprietary ni, dia beli dan diuji ni, dia punya credibility, dia punya findings tentang daripada assertion dia dan sebagainya dah verified. Jadi susah untuk ditangkis sebab apa? Hampir semua orang di global di bidang forensik ni pakai benda tu, dan juga benda tu telah semak. Bila kita buat penelitian, diorang akan semak benda tu. Kita panggil tool validation. Menjawab soalan ke?
Okey, jawab.
Okey, seterusnya. Security mechanism ni challenges nombor 4. Sama juga bila keluar apa tu apa ni, devices yang baru. Saya banyak bagi satu lagi, saya banyak bagi contoh mobile lah. Sebab apa, di DFD MCMC ni dia punya pemfokusan utama dia adalah computer forensics dan juga mobile forensics. Jadi banyaklah kes mobile compare dengan kes-kes yang lain. Ada tapi mobile banyak. Jadi banyak contoh saya adalah daripada mobile lah. Okay, security mechanism. Telefon kalau kita tengok kebiasaannya ada security mechanism. Kalau pada dulu ada apa? Tuan-tuan, kalau kadang-kadang saya tanya soalan, kalau nak jawab boleh je tulis je dalam chat tu. Dalam chat box tu. Sebab saya baca, ada chat box tu kat tepi, saya tengok. Betul. Password lagi ada apa? Pattern.
Antivirus.
Okay. Betul, password, pattern, biometrik. Kalau antivirus ni, dia bukan dia salah satu security mechanism, tapi bukan yang built-in dengan telefon. Okay. Security mechanism. Mana? Okay, sorry. Jadi dengan adanya benda-benda security ni, diorang keep upgrading. Bila diorang upgrade security, pasal tak kalau kita tengok kat telefon kita ada security patch. Security patch ni, dia update security operating system, phone itu sendiri, yang mana bila dia update, forensic tools tak dapat nak extract. Okay, kalau dapat tu maybe tak dapat sepenuhnya. Selagi mana mereka tak keluarkan ataupun dia tak exploit lagi security patch yang baru. Jadi jadi security forensic software ni dia tak boleh nak dapat. Okay. Jadi disebabkan security mechanism jugalah berlaku kepada software limitation. Software limitation ni merujuk kepada forensic software. Jadi sebab tu selalu diorang keluarkan updates. Bila ada je produk baru, keluar satu update. Kalau kita tengok dalam forensic tools sendiri, ada beratus-ratus jenis. Kadang-kadang diorang tak boleh nak forensic software ni tak boleh nak cater sepenuhnya. Saya bagi contoh ya. iPhone. Celebrite adalah salah satu forensic tools yang terkemuka lah yang digunakan, termasuklah kat sini juga. Bila kita tengok iOS, kadang-kadang certain iOS operating system tak semestinya yang terkini. Kadang-kadang di tengah-tengah tu mereka ada buat security update yang tertentu, yang mana Celebrite sendiri tak berjaya nak exploit. Jadi kadang-kadang sampai sekarang certain OS tu dia still tak boleh nak extract properly. Tapi kadang-kadang bila kita dapat yang baru, iOS keluarkan operating system yang baru, kadang-kadang ada kelemahan. Kat situ diorang berjaya exploit lebih awal. Jadi ini semua terdapat kebergantungan lah. Jadi kat sini adalah challenges yang nombor 5, software limitation dalam forensic tools. Okay, sekarang ni okey ke? Alright. Okay. Alright, Chun. Dah banyak dah yang duk buka ni kamera. Okay. How can you bypass? Ni apa dia? Farid Zizi is requesting to annotate the shared content. Apa ni? Maaf lah. Okay. Assalamualaikum. Sorry baru masuk, kena download balik. Tak apa. Kita santai-santai sikit, stress pula kan. Dah rehat lah dia. Okay, how can you bypass the biometric? Secara amnya, paling general jawapannya tak boleh bypass. Itu secara am lah. Sebab apa? Biometrik ni dia lagi advance daripada password dan juga PIN. Kalau kita tengok brute force kan, brute force kat sini tak, kalau kata kita tak praktis sepenuhnya lah, betul. Jadi brute force ni masa hari tu, minggu lepas, baru je ada AFSN, Asian Forensic Network Sciences. Asian Forensic Sciences Network punya conference. Biasa diorang buat every year kan, jadi ada host-host macam Olimpik lah kan, tahun ni negara ni, tahun ni negara ni, tapi memandangkan COVID ni diorang buat online jugalah. So bila dia buat online tu boleh lah ramai masuk sikit, kalau tidak limited berapa orang dia boleh pergi per satu negara lah. Jadi masa hari tu dia orang ada forensik daripada China, sebab dia orang host, dia orang ada menerangkan tentang software forensik SRY yang mana diorang gunakan brute force. Di situ bila diorang guna brute force 3 hari untuk normal password ataupun PIN lah. Jadi macam biometrik ni kita tak ada cara nak brute force betul. Sebab apa? Maklumat tu disimpan bagaimana, tak ada cara nak brute force, nak teka biometrik punya recognition kan, apatah lagi facial recognition kan, tak ada cara untuk brute force. Jadi cara nak digunakan adalah seperti Cik Afika sebut tadi, kita guna legal punya style, legal punya cara lah. Sebab apa? Kalau technical tak mampu nak cater, kita terpaksa guna legal punya cara untuk dapatkan maklumat tersebut. Biasanya bila pergi on-site, maksudnya team first responder tadi, diorang matikan dulu kat situ, matikan dulu device protection, security, login security dan sebagainya, agar bila sampai dekat lab untuk buat extraction dan analisis tak ada masalah-masalah. Boleh? Menjawab ke saya, Nurul Huda? Oh, senyap, tak apa-apa. Okay.
Ada ni. Maksud saya, kalau you dapat satu phone yang menggunakan biometrics tu, so macam mana you melepasi dia punya first layer of security tu? So,
macam saya cakap tadi, kita akan minta kepada pemilik telefon tu, kepada suspek tu sendiri. Macam hari tu, kita biasanya dalam prosedur ready, dah ada dah benda-benda tu. Maksudnya reading officer, RO ataupun IO, mereka dah aware bahawa ini adalah technical limitation yang tak ada solution lagi. Maksudnya solution tu over time kan, pakar research dan sebagainya sedang cuba untuk cater masalah ni, tetapi selagi mana tak dapat nak selesaikan, kita terpaksa guna cara macam tu lah. Kita kena dapatkan juga daripada suspek tu. Dan kalau suspek tu depan mata, maka kita letak telefon tu dekat komputer supaya boleh unlock.
is that possible kalau masa kita dapatkan phone tu and then kita check dia pakai biometrics kan, we can ask them to disable all the setting tu lah, the security setting tu.
Ya betul, kita bukan kita memang kena suruh dia disable pada waktu juga untuk memudahkan proses extraction di kemudian hari lah, apabila IO dah serahkan exhibit tu kepada forensik. Jadi semua device protection, especially biometrik, kena dimatikan sewaktu proses rampasan. Jadi dia akan guna section tertentu, contohnya tadi section 249 Akta Komunikasi Malaysia AKM 1998 tu, untuk kita minta dia matikan security protection tu, biometric protection tu. Boleh?
Alright, thank you.
Alright, okay, seterusnya. Siapa tak jalan?
Kau sikit. Tekan cursor tu.
Okey. Kalau suspek tak nak bekerjasama, kita ada akta juga yang mana jika dia tak nak bekerjasama, kita boleh charge dia di bawah section tersebut. 249 tu jugalah rasanya. 249 tu, ini untuk MC lah. Polis ada data berkomputer lah. Computerized data diorang juga. Yang mana bila kita charge diorang, dia punya kesalahan dia lagi berat daripada kesalahan asal dia. Jadi bila masa sebuah tu biasa radio officer ni dia akan keras. Bila dia keras, suspek akan takut sikit lah. Dan kadang-kadang sebab apa, bila pergi serbuan ni, kita pergi ramai-ramai. Kita ada raiding officer, investigation officer, forensik dan sebagainya. Bila pergi ramai-ramai ni, diorang macam overwhelmed. So bila kita interrogate, diorang akan lebih mudah untuk bagi. Bila kita interrogate suspek ni, kita boleh nampak. Sebab apa, diorang punya insting pertama adalah nak tipu. So kita akan tekan sampai diorang mengalah. Ada juga situasi di mana suspek tak nak bagi kerjasama. Terutamanya suspek yang VIP lah. Kalau kita tengok, pertama diorang ada legal background. Dan kalau kita sebut tu kadang-kadang dia lawyer ataupun dia ada lawyer. Dia panggil lawyer dan sebagainya. Tapi melihat kepada experience, bila lawyer dah sampai sekalipun, lawyer dia tahu dalam Akta AKM ni, dalam AKM 98 ni ada provision yang membolehkan kita sebagai enforcement officer untuk dapatkan maklumat tu. Okay, sebelum saya jawab soalan tu, saya teruskan slide dulu, tak habis pula. Okay, seterusnya, challenges yang seterusnya adalah explosion of complexity. Kes semakin lama semakin kompleks. Kenapa saya cakap begitu? Mana gambar ni tu? Kenapa saya cakap begitu adalah kalau kita tengok sekarang, bila sesuatu kesalahan dibuat, dia bukan lagi macam dulu di mana ada dekat satu device sahaja. Dan contoh, kita punya Facebook pun kadang-kadang kita login dekat beberapa device. Kat komputer, kat rumah, telefon kita yang iPhone kita contohnya, betul telefon Android kita. Kita login kat merata-rata tempat. Jadi walaupun kadang-kadang kesalahan tu dibuat di satu device, kadang-kadang kita boleh dapat pada device-device yang lain. Dan itu adalah satu contoh complexity. Kat situ nampak dah 2-3 device dah. Kalau skala yang lagi besar, contoh kesalahan, berlaku satu kemalangan. Kursi ni bunyi ya. Berlaku satu kemalangan. Kesalahannya adalah dia sedang texting semasa memandu dan menyebabkan kemalangan. Jadi evidence, siapa boleh bagi cadangan apakah evidence yang mungkin terlibat tulis kat situ dalam kes macam ni. Dalam kes kemalangan disebabkan texting semasa driving, boleh tak kat situ, pada pandangan tuan-puan, apakah evidence atau digital evidence yang mungkin terlibat? Okay, check timestamp 1, dashcam footage betul 2, lagi siapa lagi boleh cuba? Ada beberapa, agak banyak di sini. Check timestamp maybe daripada dia punya alat telekomunikasi lah. Jadi kalau timestamp tu maybe telefon dia satu, telefon orang yang dia berkomunikasi pun perlu diambil juga. Dashcam footage betul. Dan satu lagi kita ada CCTV daripada trafik. Contohnya kalau kita tengok dekat Cyberjaya, banyaklah tempat kat Malaysia ni dah banyak CCTV. Itu pun evidence juga. GPS pun betul. Browser history jika dia tengah browse pada waktu dia driving lah. Jadi kalau kesalahan tu adalah dia tengok telefon sebab dia browsing tu, maka kat situ pun boleh digunakan lah. Tak, aku saja nak sebab aku gunakan konten tak aku lah situ. Oh, yang tadi atas sekejap ya. Check online time from service provider, betul. Itu pun termasuk. Sebab apa? Telco dia ada simpan maklumat-maklumat ni. Kalau dia make call dan sebagainya, tak semualah telco tak simpan kita punya WhatsApp punya timestamp, tapi calling punya timestamp, call log semua kita disimpan. Kalau social media, ya betul. Okay. Satu lagi kat sini adalah Okay, betul. Semua tepat sekali itu untuk kes ni. Jadi, point saya kat sini adalah evidence tiba-tiba jadi banyak. Kalau tidak, asal-asalnya adalah satu, tiba-tiba ada berbelas-belas. Dan kat sini kompleksiti dia bertambah. Sekarang kalau kita tengok peralatan ataupun sejak 2-3 tahun, beberapa tahun yang lepas, apa yang semakin famous adalah IoT. Dan semua devices ni makin pintar, semua dah ada data yang disimpan yang mana boleh digunakan sebagai evidence. Dan kita punya body worn device, dan kita pakai smartwatch dan sebagainya, ataupun kalau orang yang sakit dia ada pakai apa ni, reader untuk insulin kan. Jadi semua benda ni tiba-tiba boleh digunakan sebagai evidence. Kat situlah kompleksiti itu semakin meningkat. Jadi mana soalan tadi terlepas. Jadi, kalau mangsa menikah macam mana? Okay, ada masalah tak kalau collection of evidence guna personal penyebaran, contoh gambar guna kamera sendiri, imaging guna PC sendiri. Okay, kita tengok kes. Okay, untuk kes MCMC, di mana kita punya team memang ada prosedur di mana kita tak boleh pakai peralatan sendiri. Hatta untuk tangkap gambar sekalipun. Kita jabatan memang ada sediakan DSLR khas untuk pergi operasi. Tapi kat sini saya nak nyatakan bahawa kalau kita tengok kes kebakaran, yang bomba pernah menyatakan bahawa biasanya orang yang first sampai tu bukan bomba sendiri. Mesti ada orang lain. Sebab apa? Kebakaran kan, paling-paling kalau rumah dia terbakar, rumah sebelah datang dulu. Dan zaman sekarang ni ramai orang suka merekod. Jadi orang tanya macam mana. Jadi sama juga device yang digunakan untuk merekod tu boleh digunakan sebagai evidence. Tapi kita ada courtesy lah, di mana kalau suspek punya evidence kita ambil rampas kan. Kalau orang awam punya tak kan kita nak rampas dia punya evidence, dia punya telefon kan. Dia nak pakai telefon aku pula nanti kan. Jadi kat situ kita buat session on site lah, macam tu. Tapi tak boleh pakai sendiri punya, especially kalau duduk dalam forensic ataupun enforcement. Sebab apa? Defense counselor akan attack dulu credibility, balik kepada credibility. Imaging guna PC sendiri insyaAllah tak boleh. Sebab apa? Capability PC tu tak boleh. Sebab apa? Imaging ni pakai tool tersendiri forensik sekalipun, kalau 1 terabyte mau 12 jam untuk buat image. Bila image perlu lagi biasa double lah. Kalau kita buat image tu 6 jam, hashing ataupun verification of the image yang dah dibuat tu sama juga tempohnya. Kalau 6 jam jadi 12 jam. Biasanya komputer kita ni tak sesuai untuk digunakan. Jadi ada tool-tool khas yang kita gunakan untuk buat benda-benda tu lah. Biasanya barang-barang sendiri tak boleh campur dengan barang-barang yang kita guna untuk case lah. Kecuali terdesak, tapi exception ni kena berhati-hati lah. Jadi contohlah bawa juga kamera jabatan kan, tiba-tiba memory card tertinggal. Gambar tak ada memory card. So takkan tak tangkap gambar. So kenalah ambil guna telefon sendiri. Jadi kat sini kena nyatakan dalam kita punya diary, dan supaya nanti bila kena tangkis dengan defense counselor boleh jawab. And make sure boleh jawab. Itu je maksudnya, make sure boleh tangkis balik. Boleh ke? Okay, jawab soalan tu. Okay, seterusnya kalau masa menikah macam mana? If device dia guna biometrik. Biasanya kalau kita tengok biometrik, dia akan ada secondary option. Kan, kalau tak boleh scan muka ataupun thumbprint beberapa kali, kita akan disuruh masukkan PIN kan. Jadi PIN ni lebih mudah untuk brute force. Walaupun tak semudah yang disangkakan lah sebenarnya kan. Sebab apa? Bila nak brute force ni, capacity machine yang nak brute force tu kena tinggi, kena kuat. Tapi boleh cubalah, tapi tak semestinya orang kata percentage untuk berjaya tu tak berapa tinggi. Depends kepada encryption, security tu macam mana. Semua ni tertakluk lah. Very yang kata
Lagi panjang pin atau password lagi lama.
betul. Kalau password dia panjang-panjang kan, lepas tu combination kan, tambah pula dia jenis guna asterisk lah, inilah itu semua. So bila nak brute force tu memang lama. Saya personally tak ada buat lagi case yang untuk brute force telefon. Biasanya kita ambil daripada suspek. Macam itulah. Alright. Dia ada tak soalan yang tak jawab? Activities, data, okay. Okay. Technical challenges yang seterusnya. Data in cloud. Gerak ni. Tadi Cik Afika ada sebut data in cloud dan juga pasal data preservation. Saya bagi contoh ya data in cloud. Dulu-dulu masa Facebook awal-awal lagi, diorang Facebook ni bila kita buat posting, data-data dia tu ada disimpan di dalam telefon, di dalam device tu sendiri. Tapi semakin lama teknologi berkembang, apa Facebook buat adalah dia pindahkan posting dan comments tak lagi disimpan di dalam telefon. Jadi apabila digital forensik buat extraction, memang tak ada benda yang dicari. Jadi tambah sekarang ni banyak kes-kes social media, betul? Kan? Tambah sekarang yang 3R ni, yang orang kata 3R sekarang ni critical. Religion, race dengan juga royalty. Dan kalau kita buat kesalahan kat tiga ni, biasanya polis akan cari kan. Jadi nampak muka? Nampak dah? Aku nampak je muka aku. Nampak dah? Boleh nampak tak? Alright. Okay, nampak? Okay. Jadi Facebook pindahkan. Bila saya pindahkan, kita tak lagi dapat nak membuktikan kesalahan tu dilakukan menggunakan exhibit yang kita rampas. Okay, jadi macam mana kita cater benda ni? Dari situ kita wujudkan satu lagi, kita panggil data preservation lah. Okay, kalau forensik ni dia buat biasanya offline, tak boleh ada internet connectivity supaya kita tak nak ada benda yang berlaku changes ataupun tampering. Data preservation ni dilakukan online. Dia complement apa yang forensik punya method sekarang yang tak boleh. Okay. Jadi kalau forensik sekarang tak boleh nak dapat posting Facebook dan komen Facebook di dalam device tu, jadi kita buat preservation ni supaya kita boleh dapat benda-benda tu daripada akaun dia orang, daripada akaun suspek. Data in cloud ni juga sama je, kita perlukan maklumat login daripada suspek, username dan password. Banyak kali juga suspek ni dia senang je, dia punya jawapannya adalah saya tak ingat. Sebab apa? Biasa dalam phone auto login kan, bila kita login sekali, tahun depan baru kita login lagi sekali. Sebab apa? Dia simpan kan maklumat tu. Kadang-kadang saya sendiri pun lupa juga. So jadi macam mana kita buat adalah, selagi mana telefon tu ada kat situ, kita ada few methods. Kalau dia lupa password, kita akan try cara-cara lain yang berdekatan dengannya. Kita akan try forget password. Tengok dia reset password tu dekat mana. Kadang-kadang dia hantar kepada nombor telefon tu juga. Jadi selagi mana kita ada telefon, kita boleh reset password dia balik lah. Kalau dia tak pakai telefon, kadang-kadang dia reset kepada email. Kan, kita try pergi kat email dia. Kalau jawapan suspek sama juga, saya lupa lah password email kan. kita tengok kadang-kadang device mana yang dah memang login dah. Dan kadang-kadang kat telefon tu Gmail tu dah login, Facebook dia dah login, tapi dia lupa. Dia kata dia lupa dua-dua password ni. Bila nak buat data preservation, kita tak guna exhibit suspect. Kita guna komputer kita sendirilah, forensics. Dan kita login daripada third party punya device untuk kita buat screenshot dan sebagainya. Jadi kita kena guna username password. Jadi kalau dia kata lupa, bila kita reset tu pergi dekat email, kita buka je lah dekat email dan telefon dia untuk dapatkan kod tu. Lebih kurang macam tu lah. Locality of offence. Ni saya ni saya bawa pergi kat hujung sesi lah apa ni. Ni panjang sikit. Ya?
Video tak nampak.
Video tak nampak. Itu sebab aku duduk dekat sana. Okay. Is there any possibilities to retrieve information posted on social media account if the person has deactivated his account? Bergantung kepada jenis social media. Social media, kalau kita, contoh yang paling mudah sebab paling banyak kes Facebook. Instagram tak berapa banyak sangat lah. Instagram dan Twitter ada tapi tak sehebat jumlah kes Facebook. Facebook ni bila kita deactivate account, Facebook bagi satu grace period di mana jika kita login balik guna password dan username yang sama, account automatik balik aktif. Jadi situasi ni berlaku macam mana tahu? Kalau tadi macam kes Alvin dan sebagainya tu, diorang tahu law enforcement cari diorang. Diorang pun gatal kan, hari ni pergi buat posting dan hina Sultan contohnya. And then viral. Bila viral, kecoh lah kan dekat komen sini sana dan sebagainya. Tu kawan-kawan bagi tahu dia, kau punya komen ni dah viral lah ni, polis cari dan sebagainya. So dia pun takut. Dia takut, apa dia buat? Dia pun pergi dekat account dia, dia pun pergi deactivate Facebook ni. Bila deactivate Facebook, link untuk pergi kepada kandungan yang disiasat tu dah tak ada kan. Tapi bila kita pergi serbu dia, dapat telefon dia, kita guna section 249 tadi untuk dapatkan password, ataupun kita reset password guna technical punya means. Maksudnya kita reset guna hantar kod SMS ataupun email dan sebagainya. Kita login balik, dia activate balik. Sebab apa? Dalam tempoh grace period. Dia jadi bergantung lah sebenarnya. Kalau masih lagi awal, maybe boleh lagi. Kalau dah lama sangat, mungkin tak dapat. Deactivate account, link dia putus tapi konten tu masih disimpan. Kalau kita masuk account dia sebagai admin, kita boleh akses lagi kandungan tersebut. Kecuali sebelum dia deactivate tu, dia pergi delete contohnya. Ada chances boleh dapat, ada chances tak boleh dapat. Sebab apa? Mungkin kalau dia login guna browser dan sebagainya, dalam komputer mungkin ada sisa-sisa lagi. Okay, boleh Jadi possibility tu ada. Bergantung kepada situasi dan jenis-jenis tempoh masa, jenis-jenis kekangan teknikal yang ada lah. Okay, kita move on. Seterusnya, adoption of data. Tadi kita sebut pasal security mechanism. Security mechanism ni dah cukup baik lah kalau kita tengok sebagai user. Betul? Tapi macam biasalah, sentiasa ada cara untuk kita exploit. Jadi apa yang manufacturer buat adalah diorang adopt data encryption. Kalau puan-puan perasan, tengok phone masing-masing, especially Android, iOS pun ada juga, kita boleh enable encryption upon reboot ataupun upon turning off our mobile devices. Kita boleh allow encryption bermaksud apabila phone tu shutdown dan sebagainya, ataupun phone tu tengah lock, iOS ada, dia lock, dia akan encrypt data tu. Jadi bila kita turn on kita punya Android devices, ada interference. Siapa punya mikrofon? Okay, jadi bila bila kita turn on kita punya Android device, dia akan minta kita letak password dulu untuk kita decrypt dahulu, baru dia akan load masuk. Kalau kita tak decrypt tu, chances untuk buat extraction sangatlah tipis. Jadi sebab apa, kita masing-masing tahu encryption ni sangat pada dia kena ada key lah untuk decrypt kan. Kalau tak ada key memang susah. Dia tak macam password tadi, kita boleh try brute force. Kita tak boleh nak try brute force encryption, especially kalau encryption tu guna yang lagi tinggi kan, AES 256 dan sebagainya. Bila kita bercakap pasal encryption ni, ada perbincangan lah. Maksudnya kalau kita tengok seminar dan sebagainya, kita bercakap pasal quantum processing. Quantum ni jauh lebih tinggi, jauh lebih laju, jauh lebih efektif dalam melakukan calculation tu. Let's say current method of encryption mungkin boleh decrypt by quantum processing punya metodologi. Cumanya dia tak akan lama. Sebab apa? Ni pada pandangan saya lah. Sebab apa? Apabila kita menggunakan quantum, jika teknologi quantum tu dah stable dan boleh digunakan, kalau kita gunakan quantum processing tu untuk decrypt encryption yang sekarang dipakai, mesti tak lama lepas tu orang akan teknologi akan evolve yang mana akan ada quantum punya encryption. So bermaksud jika yang baru boleh decrypt yang lama, quantum decryption tak akan mampu nak buat quantum encryption punya ni lah. So macam bila sama level tu dia tak akan semudah tu. Itu macam topik-topik yang perbincangan jugalah. Dia di mana membincangkan macam mana nak decrypt sekarang punya ni. Tapi tak semudah tu lah. Sebab tu bila phone ada encryption ni, cara paling mudah macam tadi adalah untuk matikan dahulu. Untuk iOS, kalau tuan-puan perasan, kalau kita punya phone dah lama lock, bila kita first nak unlock tu, dia walaupun kita pakai biometrics kan, iPhone kita tengok muka kita kan, kadang-kadang dia still minta kita tekan password kita untuk first, especially kalau lepas reboot. Ini adalah kerana dia nak decrypt dulu content tu. Sebab iPhone dia encrypt dulu bila dah lama sangat dia lock ataupun lepas daripada reboot. Boleh? Okay guys, setakat ni berapa? 11-13. Locality offense tu lihat lagi. Saya tak terlepas soalan kat belakang tadi kan. Yeah. Okay. Technical challenges yang seterusnya. Tak, kerusi ya. Allah Allah. Tak adalah bunyi ya. Okay. Okay, ni tadi use of steganography. Stegano ni a part of encryption punya teknologi lah, yang mana dia macam Cik Afika sebut tadi, dia hide satu information ni dalam file tanpa mengubah appearance asal file tersebut lah. Jadi sukar untuk antivirus ke apa ke sistem sendiri pun untuk detect tu sebagai benda yang ada payload hidden dalam tu. Dan sebab apa dia memang betul-betul hide. Saya personally tak pernah lagi buat case yang ada Stegano ni, maybe sebab baru lagi. Cumanya saya perasan sebahagian forensic software seperti Encase dan juga Axiom yang komputer punya forensik lah, diorang dah boleh nampak benda ni sikit-sikit, maybe tak keseluruhan. Saya bagi contoh, macam tadi Afika cakap, file PDF dia ubah ataupun gambar diubah extension. Apa yang forensic software buat adalah dia bukan baca extension file sahaja, walaupun extension dah diubah. Dia akan baca file header dan juga file signature untuk menentukan jenis file dulu. Jika berlaku mismatch, let's say header untuk PDF adalah sekian-sekian, saya tak hafal, minta maaf, and then dia punya extension adalah .pdf. Jika signature tu dan juga extension tak sama, dia akan kategorikan file tersebut sebagai signature mismatch. So, kita sebagai analis akan nampak, okay, ini adalah senarai-senarai file yang mana ada berlaku perubahan. Dia punya header, dia punya signature dan juga dia punya extension tak sama. Jadi, maybe boleh tengok lebih lagi compared kepada file-file yang biasa. Ini salah satu cara lah forensik software menangani isu steganol. Tapi, tuan-puan kena faham bahawa teknologi sentiasa berubah kan. Kita sentiasa berlawan. Ini exploit dulu, ini try catch up. Ini exploit, ini try catch up. So, benda tu akan bergerak sampai bila lah kot kan. Saya tak tak sebut banyak lah steganol sebab tadi Cik Afiqah pun dah sebut. Tapi ini adalah satu topik yang menarik lah sebenarnya. Apa-apa topik yang nak exploit ni biasa seronok. Sebab tu dia lebih menarik sebab tak ada lagi kan orang tengah duk bincang macam mana. Okey tuan-tuan, sebelum saya sambung, saya nak tanya. Sebelum-sebelumnya dah ada tuan-puan pergi talk tentang cybersecurity. Saya nak tanya tuan-puan, apakah beza utama cybersecurity dan juga digital forensics dari segi dari aspek case. Maksudnya let's say ada satu case and then kita ada digital cybersecurity and kita ada digital forensics. Apakah beza utama kedua-dua ni in respect of the case? Siapa nak give a try? Boleh tulis dalam chat ataupun nak sebut guna mikrofon.
Digital forensik bukan juga method juga untuk
Okay, kalau digital forensik adalah method dia, bagaimana pula dengan cyber security? Apakah beza? Siapa nak try?
Can I try?
Okay, siapa jawab tu? Cantik sekali kat Instagram.
Okay, cyber security ni for case punya perception, kita try to do some governance, some prevention, some data protection sebelum benda-benda cyber security tadi. For digital forensik ni lepas dia dah jadi.
Ya betul. Jadi Cik Hairul dan juga Cik Akram pun basically semua bukan tepat lah kat sini. Sebab apa, cyber security ni real time dan juga prevention. Dan juga forensik ni handle the aftermath tu, maksudnya selepas. Kita handle history, kita cari benda yang dah berlaku untuk future prevention rather than preventative. Okay, bagus. Good. Kita sambung. Seterusnya adalah application of data hiding. Data hiding ni adalah, kalau tadi Stegano, dia simpan data dalam file dan dia berlaku penyamaran. Data hiding ni dia sorok data dalam storage lah, dalam storage devices di mana operating system sendiri pun tak dapat nak detect. Okay, Harita. This is what happen. Ya betul, Harita dan juga Nurudam, betul. Bagus. Okay, saya sambung data hiding ya. Saya bagi contoh. Data hiding. Okay, sebelum saya bagi contoh saya nak tanya juga satu soalan. Pernah dengar abstraction ke? Data abstraction. Adakah data abstraction dan data hiding benda yang sama? Siapa nak cuba? Ada nak cuba ke? Apakah adakah data hiding dan juga data abstraction benda yang sama? Tak ada? Okay, kalau data abstraction. Data abstraction ni kita letak satu lagi layer daripada fungsi asal sesuatu perkara tersebut. Biasanya dalam computer network kita nampaklah kan data encapsulation, data abstraction dan sebagainya. Dia lindung layer asal. Irsyad, data hiding is concept while data abstraction is the method. Cuba yang bagus tapi kurang tepat, kerana dia adalah dua perkara yang berbeza. Data hiding is literally kita sorokkan data dalam storage device tu. Okay, saya bagi contoh. Bila kita buat extraction, kita buat imaging hard disk. Kita ambil satu pengedar dan token dadah kan, token dadah. Kita dapatlah komputer dia digunakan untuk dia punya bisnes lah. Jadi bila kita buat kartel yang betul. Bila kita buat imaging, kita dapatlah keseluruhan kan, physical keseluruhan hard disk tu. Tapi bila kita run extraction kita, imaging kita tu dalam forensic tools, kita kadang-kadang kita tak boleh dapat semua. Kita akan perasan ada unallocated punya spaces. Secara amnya, betul. Maksudnya operating system kata space ni tak diguna pakai. Tapi sebagai forensic analyst, kita kena consider juga kawasan yang unallocated space ni. Apa yang berlaku adalah suspek ni diorang ubah bootloader punya sequence untuk certain partition. Kita say ada partition C, partition D, partition E, lepas tu ada unallocated space. Sorry lah tak ada gambar, semua slide aku semua tulis saja. Jadi partition allocated space ni sebenarnya ada partition lagi, tapi suspek ni dia ubah dia punya boot sequence tu untuk detect dia punya partition tu. So operating system dan juga forensic tools dia tak berjaya nak detect. Apa yang kami kena buat adalah forensic analyst ni dia kena cari loader sequence tu, and then kita kena create partition tu manually. Dalam encase kita boleh buat benda ni. Bila kita create partition tu, and then tiba-tiba ada satu lagi partition baru yang pada asalnya tak boleh jumpa, dan kat situ banyak file-file berkenaan business token dia tadi tu lah, business cartel dia. Itu pun kalau dia sempat hide sebenarnya rate. Kadang-kadang diorang ni bukan sepanjang masa tu access diorang punya komputer kan. Diorang kadang-kadang sekali-sekala dia access, so diorang memang dah hide siap-siap. Betul, penjenayah akan sentiasa hide. Ke mana pun dia akan hide dulu. Dan bila dia nak buka tu, dia akan lebih berhati-hati sebab apa dia nak proses dia punya maklumat tu. Ini terutamanya crimes yang organised lah. Ni kalau yang pengedar yang tepi jalan pusher level rendah je, maybe tak se-organised yang ni lah. Banyak juga perasan penjenayah sekarang ni semua dah pakai teknologi untuk simpan maklumat diorang, especially encryption. Diorang memang akan encrypt diorang punya telefon dulu bila nak off. Telefon diorang pakai sekejap-sekejap je, tapi bila nak encrypt, sebab diorang pun tahu encryption memang susah nak decrypt balik. Okay, attacking, ni adalah challenges seterusnya. Saya pun dah tak ingat dah challenges beberapa. Attacking tools and equipment, atau nama lainnya adalah tail of tak tahu nak sebutnya, saya type lah. Tail obfuscation. Pastinya betul lah macam tu agentnya, tail of obfuscation. attacking the tools ataupun equipment. Apa yang maksud tail obfuscation ni adalah dia mislead investigator untuk memikirkan bahawa kesalahan tu dibuat oleh benda lain. Dia macam some sort of spoofing lah kat situ. Ini contoh apa ada ini saya tak boleh fikirkan contoh sebab tak pernah lagi buat kes. Tapi mengaburi mata pihak lawan, lebih kurang macam tu lah. Dia point di sini adalah dia mengaburi mata forensic tools tu sendiri. Forensic software yang duk decode software tu, yang duk decode evidence tu, supaya dia tak boleh decode properly. Dia salah tengok. Dia pula, kalau kita tengok, kalau kita faham forensic tools, dia exploit evidence kan untuk didapatkan maklumat tu dan dia decode. Yang ni dia pula exploit supaya forensic tools tu tak nampak. Dia macam tu, dia main lawan-lawan kat situ pula. So di situ kita kena ambil kira bahawa pasal tadi kita sebut pasal high volumes kan, evidence sampai 20. Bila extract bertera-tera kan, bila bertera-tera, analis ni dia tak boleh nak go through manually semua satu-satu. Dia akan bergantung kepada forensic tools untuk categorize dan sebagainya. Dari situ dia akan tengok mana yang penting, mana yang tak. So apa, dia akan buat berdasarkan metodologi lah. Dan kalau dia nak go through semua satu-satu, memang tak mampu. Jadi kalau forensic software itu sendiri tewas kan, maksudnya kalah dengan pihak lawan yang mengaburi tadi tu, jadi kat situ chances untuk kita dapat evidence tu jadi tipis lah. Ini salah satu challenges lah, current challenges yang ada. Berapa banyak tools yang forensik gunakan semasa investigation? Dalam forensik, berbalik kepada credibility dan validation tadi, minimum untuk setiap jenis evidence. Contoh, computer evidence, minimum perlu ada 2 proprietary punya tools. Dekat globally untuk computer forensic yang paling well known adalah ENCASE. Dan sekarang baru ada Axiom dan baru lagi ada autopsy. Jadi bila kita buat sesuatu analisis dia menggunakan satu software. Let's say pertama kita guna ENCASE dulu. Kita pun go through line case, running apa semua. Kita perlu verify apa yang kita jumpa ataupun findings kita dalam ENCASE tadi dengan second tools. So boleh pilih lah. Kita pun kalau dekat sini di FD kita pakai ENCASE dan juga Axiom. Jika case mobile, main tools kita adalah Celebrite dan keduanya adalah SR1. Jadi kita guna tools nombor 2 ni untuk verify findings pertama in case tool pertama ni tak berjaya dapat sepenuhnya. So minimum 2 lah, boleh guna lebih. Okay, untuk mobile kita guna Celebrite. Nanti kita tengok untuk career in digital forensic ni kita akan nampak senarai-senarai tools yang kita pakai lah. Saya ada bubuh dalam slide. In case boleh overcome challenge ni tak? Jujur saya katakan, jika in case maksudnya jika in case pun kena tipu, kena attack, mungkin saya pun tak perasan kan. Sebab apa? Bila in case tu tak nampak, maybe saya pun tak nampak. Sebab apa? Analis ni dia bergantung pula kepada dia punya pengalaman, dia punya skill dan sebagainya. And maybe kalau senior punya analis, dia lebih fluent kan, maybe dia boleh nampak pattern tu lebih baik daripada junior analyst. Bila menyebut in case boleh overcome atau tak, kita kena berbalik macam tadi. Sebab apa? Orang yang attack, orang yang membuat pengaburan tu kena tengok skill dia juga kan. Kalau kita tengok hackers dan sebagainya pun orang di luar kan, lain-lain skills punya level. Jadi bila skill dia lain-lain, dia punya teknik pun berbeza lah. Jadi depends lah kan. Kalau dia buat tu pun benda yang in case dah boleh detect, in case tetap akan detect, tetap akan baca file type dan sebagainya. Dan kalau dia benda yang dia buat tu lagi advance sampai in case version tu tak mampu nak cater, mungkin in case tak nampak. Jadi tak ada satu jawapan yang mana boleh tetap lah. Sebab apa? Bila in case update maybe boleh kan. Kemudian bila dia exploit lagi canggih maybe tak boleh, kena tunggu version baru dan sebagainya. Okay. Seterusnya adalah practice of residual data wiping. Ini merujuk kepada mereka-mereka yang pakar dalam memadam diorang punya jejak langkah apabila melakukan kesalahan lah. Ini banyak merujuk kepada penggodam, crackers dan sebagainya. Ini juga tertakluk kepada diorang punya skills, yang mana jika diorang lagi cerdik dan lagi bagus, lagi diorang boleh padam diorang punya trace. Tapi saya nak juga sebut dari segi aspek bukan saja residual, tapi dari segi aspek data wiping itself. Bermaksud, okay, kita tengok contoh Telegram. Telegram, dia simpan kita punya maklumat kat mana? Maksud saya, history, kita punya data dekat mana?
Dalam phone.
Padang browsing saya. Okay. Telegram sangat famous yang mana dia simpan dekat server diorang. Ada juga maklumat yang dia simpan dalam telefon, tapi dia tak simpan sebanyak application yang lain. Macam WhatsApp dan sebagainya. WhatsApp memang dah jelas-jelas dia simpan semua dalam telefon. Maybe certain information je, account information simpan dalam server WhatsApp. Dan kalau kita tengok, WhatsApp ada chat backup kan, sampai 6 chat backup kalau kita tengok dalam kita punya telefon tu kan, dalam folder directory dan sebagainya, sampai ada 6 backup dan sebagainya. Untuk Telegram tak, dia simpan maybe sementara dan sebagainya. Cumanya yang paling menarik, Telegram punya security features, diorang ada secret chat, diorang ada macam-macam. Dah lah tak simpan dalam telefon, tak simpan dalam server diorang juga, jadi kat mana-mana pun tak simpan. Bila diorang buat data wiping, kita sebagai forensik nak ambil kat mana? Data pun dah tak ada. Ini memang challenges yang tiada orang kata penyelesaian lah. Sebab apa? Itu memang diorang punya polisi, Telegram punya polisi untuk delete. Dia sendiri, Telegram sendiri sebut, jika secret chat tu padam terus. Diorang pun, Telegram pun tak simpan dalam server. Jadi tak adalah data tu. So tu apa tu lah, scammer pun suka pakai Telegram yang boleh simpan macam-macam. Kalau salah account pun, diorang boleh buat kan account tu jika kita try attempt password banyak-banyak. So nak brute force pun tak boleh. Jadi kat sini, ini adalah salah satu kata challenges kepada kita forensik. Buat masa ni nyaris lah masih jugalah orang kata ramai lagi yang pakai WhatsApp rather than Telegram kan, sebab tak ramai yang fluent. Telegram ni macam terlampau technical kan, dia lebih kurang je. Kalau kita tengok satu lagi adalah Signals kan. Signals kan pun tak simpan maklumat juga, kita boleh masukkan kita punya account, messaging dalam tu, and then kita tak boleh dia tak ada simpan. Bila tak ada simpan, memang kalau kita extract pun tak ada lah. Macam itulah. Apa inisiatif untuk overcome isu dengan case Telegram ni? Kalau kita perasan pun WhatsApp kan, sekarang ada features baru lah, disappearing messages. Dia pun nak ambil ikut Telegram, tapi dua-dua kena setuju lah kan. Kalau Telegram tu seorang delete, boleh delete sekali dengan orang lain sebelah tu punya kan. Jadi bergantung kepada architecture app tu sendiri kan. Berapa lama dia simpan temporary files dia kan. Berapa lama device tu ada maklumat tu dalam volatile memory dia. Apa yang ada je lah kita akan dapat. Macam mana kita dapatkan benda yang tak ada? Betul tak? Ini macam discussion yang ongoing lah. Kalau kita boleh sebut, macam mana nak dapat benda yang tak ada? Terinvolve di kalangan participant and share friends. Kes baru kan tengah viral sekarang. So macam sure ada yang terinvolve. Fikir dulu sebelum kongsi kan. Senang cerita tak payah kongsi lah, tak payah share. Itu paling selamat sekali lah. Saya sendiri pun dah stop share dah bertahun-tahun dah sejak duduk di MC ni. Betul ke, tak betul ke, tak payah share. Kalau nak sangat letaklah dekat status tu. Dan paling tak lama. Kalau tersilap pun dah delete kan tu. Data wiping. Apa lagi? Okay. Data wiping juga banyak berkait dengan anti-forensic punya tools. Kat telefon kita install macam tadi ada sebut tadi, saya tanya siapa nama, sebut antivirus, CCleaner. Dan walaupun benda tu macam application yang normal dan dari segi user punya perspektif macam biasa je, tapi sebenarnya itu ada features anti-forensic kan. Diorang wipe data, diorang block. Macam hari tu ada satu case saya ni, agaknya diorang terlupa kan. Biasa dalam prosedur diorang ambil username, password, PIN, apa semua, matikan biometrik, tapi tak tengok betul-betul dalam apa ni, dalam telefon tu ada app anti-forensic tak? Jadi app anti-forensic ni pun kadang-kadang dia lock app kan, lock Facebook, lock WhatsApp. So bila extract kadang-kadang boleh, kadang-kadang tak. So still kena ada password untuk app tersebut lah. Okay, employment of covert channel. Yang ini bermaksud kalau dalam hacking senang je. Application yang paling usual adalah bila hacker letak rootkit dalam operating system, compromise punya OS lah. So and then dia stick kat situ. So jadi ada connection private untuk attacker ni pakai lah. Betul. Okay, tapi sebab manakala benda tu normal kan, semua orang dah tahu, saya nak share yang lain sikit. Dia bukan covert channel, tapi ini perasan tak sekarang duk case apa nama ni, scamming, case scam kan. Case scam ni diorang pakai spoofing, betul. Jadi sekarang ni kalau kita lihat spoofing yang sekarang digunakan adalah exploit network punya apa nama ni, network punya technical yang paling tinggi lah. Maksudnya tak ada lagi cara nak overcome. Sebab apa? Dalam telecommunication kita ada international gateway yang mana dikawal oleh telco lah. Maksudnya setiap telco ada dia punya router-router dia sebagai border, betul? International gateway dia tu untuk segala-segala trafik telecommunication lalu masuk keluar negara. Apa yang berlaku adalah sindiket-sindiket ni diorang, apa yang diorang buat? Diorang buat network diorang sendiri. Jadi bila diorang nak communicate, diorang buat sistem sendiri, hardware sendiri, software sendiri, semua sendiri. Diorang buat satu jalan lain. Kalau kita tengok, kalau senang cerita lah, Malaysia dengan Singapura nak masuk ada custom kan, dua belah, itu je jalan yang paling. So apa yang diorang buat adalah diorang buat je jalan ikut laut tu. Diorang buat jalan ikut laut bermaksud selagi mana kita tak nampak dia lalu, selagi tu dah dia lepas. Dalam network ni mana ada siapa boleh kontrol, siapa yang boleh kat dia boleh kontrol network. Kalau orang tu buat private network dan sebagainya, kita mana nampak kan? Siapa yang boleh buat monitoring internet? Dia bukan VPN. VPN pun boleh, tapi maksud saya macam ni, dia nak buat communication daripada China ke SSL7 tu kita punya telecommunication punya network lah. Tapi apa yang scammers ni buat, bukan scammers sebenarnya, sindiket ni yang menjual ni, dia orang buat satu network lain. Okay, let's say dia orang punya telecommunication punya device dekat China satu, dekat Malaysia satu. So dia orang nak communicate betul, dia tak guna dark web. So instead of dia lalu SSL7 punya sistem dan telecommunication punya infrastructure, IGW tu, international gateway tu, dia orang buat network lain. Dia orang buat network lain. Betul. Dia orang use isolated network hardware. Dia orang buat GSM box tu. Dia orang buat hardware tu sendiri untuk dia orang communicate lalu ikut sistem dia orang. Tak guna SSL7. Ya, betul. Dia orang create sendiri. So bila dia orang create ni, dia orang jual pula servis ni kepada scammer. So scammer ni, dia orang kadang-kadang beli subscription, kan? Dia orang beli nombor, kan? Sindiket ni terlampau besar. Sekarang Malaysia ni sangat sangat meluaskan benda ni. Sebab apa? Sangat susah nak dapat dia orang ni. Kan, kalau kita dapat track satu network pun, dia orang boleh tutup je, buka network lain. Sebab apa? Benda tu private, tak nampak. Okay, jadi bila network tu lalu, macam mana kita nak tahu? Buat masa ni, telco hanya boleh nampak jika berlaku anomaly lah dalam dia orang punya base station tu, tengok pattern nombor yang diguna dan sebagainya. Sebab apa? GSM box ni, kita letak nombor-nombor yang legit. Okay, let's say satu GSM box ni boleh ada 300 nombor Malaysia, contoh 300 nombor U-Mobile. Scammer ni akan guna nombor-nombor ni, tapi tak guna laluan asal. Untuk daripada keluar ke luar negara ke dalam, dia tak guna SSL7. Tak tahulah, boleh faham ke aku cerita ni? Lebih kurang macam tu lah. Phone spoofing tu. Phone spoofing ni, perasan tak kadang-kadang yang telefon tu kadang-kadang setengah cerdik juga kan. Bila ada orang telefon, kita tengok nombor siapa ni, kita pun buat dekat Google lah, apa pakai software, apa nama tu, caller apa nama tu, caller things pun betul lah, software tu, Truecaller. Kadang-kadang tengok betul je nombor balai berdekatan. Sebab apa? Dalam sistem yang diorang buat tu, diorang boleh ubah nombor, kan? Diorang boleh ubah nombor. Bila diorang ubah nombor tu, macam mana nak tahu, kan? Dulu masa saya kat enforcement, ada selalu nampak, pasal tak kalau kita jalan-jalan tiba-tiba masuk SMS gambling lah, apa benda lah, kan? Kat situ tu ada buat apa? Diorang buat sendiri base station instead of telco punya. Jadi dia kadang-kadang dia letak dalam kereta je. Base station ni dia emit power yang kuat. So bila power dia kuat, bila dia bergerak dekat yang kita, phone kita nampak dia, ini base station yang lagi dekat. So phone kita akan connect kepada base station diorang yang tipu ni, and then diorang akan hantar SMS tu. Lepas tu base station ni akan disconnectkan balik phone kita, supaya phone kita akan connect balik kepada tower yang asal. Itu salah satu pada ni lah. Saya pernah jadi pegawai risikan, pergi berlakon nak beli device ni lah dekat dekat company ni. Diorang pasang sendiri dekat office tu. Diorang import device atau equipment tu sikit-sikit, diorang pasang kat sini. Sebab kalau import dari luar nanti sangkut kat custom. Itu contoh lah. Dalam hal-hal covert channel ni lah. Ni network punya ni memang sangat topik. Kalau network ni memang sangat luas lah. Sebab network kan memang exploitation kat mana-mana sahaja. Okay, lagu apa ni? InsyaAllah. Jadi semua permasalahan ni membawa kepada dua perkara yang utama, iaitu kos dan juga masa. Kan, lagi banyak device, lagi banyak capacity, perlukan hardware capability yang tinggi, duit lagi. Macam Cik Afrika sebut, Malaysian lagi. Sebab apa? Proprietary. Kita perlukan credibility, tak boleh pakai open source. Masa. masa adalah sesuatu constraint yang investigator tak ada. Dan kita tak boleh nak investigate lama-lama kan. Kadang-kadang kes memang makan tahun-tahun, tapi makin lama kita investigate, makin lama evidence tu dah tak ada. Susah, makin susah nak prove. Jadi cost dengan time ni memang permasalahan yang sentiasa ada lah. Challenges yang sentiasa ada. Okay. Ini ada challenges ni saya tak sebut lah sebab tadi dah diceritakan oleh Cik Afrika. Cuma saya nak sebut yang ni. Psychological impacts on analyst. Digital forensic analyst ni terdedah dengan amount content yang banyak, amount content yang tidak baik dengan kadar yang banyak. Let's say kita ada kes lucah ke, itu yang paling normal lah kan, yang paling banyak. Jadi bila kita hari-hari tengok, kita punya minda ni ada impak. Cumanya benda ni ongoing, kita sebagai analis tak nampak. Bila saya tengok pun tak banyak writing yang ada lagi dekat Malaysia ni. Kan, sebab awareness dia tak tinggi. Benda ni akan jadi long term, dan trauma tu akan jadi long term. Jadi memandangkan benda tu sangat ongoing, tak banyak lagi yang kesan tu yang nampak lagi. Maybe in the future kan, another decade or two baru nampak. Sebab apa kat Malaysia ni forensik ni masih baru lah kan kalau compare dengan overseas. So dia punya kesan tu tak nampak. Dia sama macam bukanlah nak menyamakan orang yang pergi perang, tapi orang pergi perang kan dia ada trauma dia tu. Dan cuma ini skala yang lebih rendah, tapi tak bermaksud benda tu okey. Kalau kita biarkan maybe akan lagi teruk. Jadi ini adalah salah satu topik yang menarik juga lah sebenarnya. Tak meluas lagi dan juga boleh buat research dengan PhD ni. Based on ethics, macam mana nak berdepan high profile case yang banyak tangan-tangan gaib. Jujur katakan dekat Malaysia ni sukar. Sebab apa, kita ni bekerja bawah corporate, bawah arahan. Jadi kalau kita tengoklah level tangan tu belah mana, ikut mana pun kami di forensik akan sentiasa cuba jadi neutral. Sebab apa, kita dalam forensik memang kena neutral. Tak boleh berpihak kepada prosecution, tak boleh berpihak kepada defense. Kita punya ni memang neutral, kita tak bersokong sesiapa. Apa yang kita jumpa, itu kita cakap. Dia macam tu. So macam sekarang dah tak macam dulu lah. Dulu agak teruk tentang profile yang ada inherent punya interference kan, yang kita tak boleh nak control. Tapi sekarang dah tak ada dah lah. Agaknya sebab politik Malaysia pun dah tak stabil kan, so orang tak ada masa nak tengok benda-benda ni. Tapi itu saya tak boleh komen banyak lah. Kita kat sini masih lagi cuba mengekalkan, tak pernah lagi lah buat keputusan berdasarkan cara yang tak sepatutnya. Cumanya bila arahan keluar dan sebagainya daripada management, itu adalah arahan company. Kita bekerja di bawah employer ni, kita ikut lah. Okay, betul, integrity. Forensik yang integrity tu tak boleh dipisahkan lah. Kalau tidak nanti sekali macam Cik Afrika cakap, sekali integrity ke laut habis lah. Yang lain-lain kan tak boleh diguna pakai lah. Okay, ada lagi sikit masa. Kita tengok careers in digital forensics. Challenges dah habis lah. Okay, skill-skill yang diperlukan. Technical aptitude. Digital bermaksudnya sebab kita nak handle banyak peralatan, peranti-peranti digital devices, jadi perlu tahu akan benda-benda ni. Operating system, network punya macam mana LAN berfungsi, dan macam mana Wi-Fi berfungsi. Mungkin tak perlu faham secara dalam, tapi at least boleh faham macam mana dia berfungsi. Sebab apa, kalau tak faham langsung nanti tak boleh nak apply. Analytical talents dalam membuat investigation, perlu berfikir secara analitik. Sebab apa? Kita nak find connection. Ni tadi ingat tak tadi ada 15 evidence. Yang kita nak cari evidence ni dan sebagainya, kita nak mengaitkan dia dengan case ataupun objective case yang diberikan oleh investigation officer. Dan jadi skill-skill ni nature diperlukan lah. Okay, law and investigation. Sebab apa? Usually forensics ni memang digunakan untuk prosecution. Okay, report kita ni digunakan untuk bawa pergi court. Jadi pemahaman tentang law dan penyiasatan ni perlu. Inquisitive ni maksudnya willing to learn, tak mudah putus asa. Sebab apa? Benda tu bukan nampak depan mata. Kalau kita baru cari sikit, dah berputus asa, macam mana kita kan, nak cari benda tu kadang-kadang hidden, kan, perlukan usaha yang lebih dan sebagainya. Dan dalam investigation dan forensics ni macam tu lah, kan. Examiner and investigator punya kerja dia memang macam tu, kan. Kena cari cuba-cuba sampai habis lah, sampai ada boleh. Impartiality dan confidentiality saya rasa Cik Afika dah sebut, kan, tak boleh bias, kan. Kalau ada kes tu berkaitan dengan family, kita kena bagi tahu dan sebagainya. Confidentiality ni tak boleh dedahkan lah, tak boleh duk pergi cerita dengan kawan-kawan pula hari ni buat kes ni apa semua, kan. Sebab kawan-kawan saya pun tahu saya buat banyak kes media sosial, tapi kalau cerita tu tak boleh cerita in detail lah, kan, sebab itu maklumat rahsia, benda tu tengah ongoing, kan, siasatan. Methodological. Candidate profiling involve prior hiring. Ya, MCMC buat. Tak kisahlah kerja dalam jabatan mana pun dalam MCMC, profiling memang akan buat. Walaupun tak bekerja dengan enforcement ataupun forensik, kan, kerja dalam HR sekalipun, masih lagi buat profiling. Methodological maksudnya semua tata cara kerja yang dilakukan oleh analis ni perlu mengikut metod yang telah disahkan, yang telah di-verify. Tak boleh suka-suka hati je nak buat ikut cara kita, melainkan nak cuba dan ada dalam diary. Namun jika tidak disahkan, tidak semestinya boleh digunakan pakai dalam laporan forensik. Sebab apa? Masuk je court, itu nombor satu dia tembak. Kena ikut ni. Kalau MCMC, DFD MCMC ada 3 metodologi yang telah disahkan melalui ISO dan sebagainya. Kita ada Computer Forensic Methodology, Mobile Device Methodology dan juga Data Preservation Methodology. Communication skills ni sebab kita nak kita nak present report kita kepada prosecutor, kepada judge, kepada court. Mereka-mereka ni tak semestinya orang teknikal. Jadi skillnya penting dalam nak translate technical punya information kepada layman punya term. Jadi kalau kita lah tak ada pun benda-benda ni, kan, tak ada pun knowledge pasal legal lah apa semua, kan, takkan tak boleh apply jadi forensics. Boleh, benda tu boleh acquire semasa dalam on job punya training. Dan saya sendiri pun mana ada background legal, memang taklah baca akta, kan. Tapi kita ada pergi company ada hantar pergi law enforcement punya executive diploma, yang mana kita belajar pasal law, macam mana nak baca law yang berkaitan dengan investigation kita supaya kita boleh pakai dalam pekerjaan kita. So jadi benda-benda ni boleh develop lah. Yang penting nak. Okay, common branches. Ni lebih masa lah. Common branches dalam computer mobile network database accounting malware dengan audio video. Dan ni apa yang saya guna untuk cari orang pertama post link dalam social media. Dekat MCMC kita ada satu jabatan, nama dia Jabatan Risikan. Jabatan Risikan ni kerja dia memang untuk cari siapa owner akaun social media. Dia orang memang ada expertise, memang kerja dia orang cari sampai jumpa. Dia orang akan cari apa-apa maklumat yang boleh, yang ada dekat internet tu, sampai jumpa siapa owner dia. Dia orang akan link lah apa-apa information yang boleh. Jadi bila dapat maklumat tu, baru dia hantar kepada investigation department untuk pergi cari pula orang tu secara fizikal. Teknik macam-macam. Ini kena hal lain pula lah, sebab ni pun department lain. Saya pernah juga buat tapi tak adalah se-ekstensif macam department tu buat lah. Diorang lebih pakar lah dalam macam-macam benda. Kadang-kadang spoofing pun diorang juga buat kan. Jadi nak dapatkan maklumat tapi kita gunakan untuk perkara yang betul lah. Dekat DFD, komputer mobile adalah kita punya expertise lah. Network kita boleh buat juga, cuma tak adalah sampai kita tak ada lagi method yang verified untuk network database, accounting dan malware ni tak ada lagi. Kita buat data recovery. Audio video pun kita tak ada expertise penuh lagi. Analytic tools untuk linkan social media. Kurang jelas lah, Akram boleh elaborate sikit tak soalan tu? Jadi audio video ni SPRM punya ada expertise. CSM ada expertise. SMC lebih fokus kepada komputer dengan mobile lah sebab kebanyakan kes kami adalah berkait dengan komputer dengan mobile. Tapi kami juga boleh buat network jugalah, cuma tak macam komputer dan mobile tu lah. Maksudnya bukan semua analyst capable untuk buat network punya forensics. Semua analyst capable buat komputer dengan mobile, tapi ada a few, one or two analyst sahaja yang boleh buat network. Okay, kalau nak cari kerja kat forensik kan, ada dua tempat je, maksudnya sama ada dekat public ataupun kat private. Kalau SMC ni macam GLC kita kira public lah. Kebanyakan, hampir semua law enforcement agencies akan ada diorang punya forensik. Tinggal lagi kecil atau besar je. SMC agak terkenal kan sebab apa, macam dia punya notoriety dia tinggi, dikenali di seluruh negara. Tapi ada je agensi-agensi lain macam SPRM, kepakaran diorang tinggi cuma diorang tak wow-wowkan. Afika? Afika? Afika hilang lah. Okay. So perbezaan utama dia maybe cara kerja dan sebagainya lah kan. Biasanya public ni kes-kes yang nak prosecute untuk orang rakyat-rakyat awam. Biasanya macam kes-kes orang awam yang tak ada siapa nak ni, so government yang ambil kan. So kebanyakan kes ni macam tu lah, kes government dan juga orang awam. Private ni maybe kes-kes civil terutamanya. Dia kes berkaitan dengan finance, company-company punya ni. So diorang hire forensics ni for ni lah, untuk cari evidence dan sebagainya. Itu banyak civil punya ni lah kat private. Criminal punya prosecution banyak dekat public. Dua soalan ya, threat hunting dan juga kat atas ni lupa ni, itu tak jawab lagi. And then what to expect. So kalau kerja kat forensics ni, kadang-kadang kerja dalam, kebiasaannya kerja dalam labs. Sebab apa, kita biasanya buat dalam lab. And then kalau kita turun on site, kita jadi first responder macam Cik Afika sebut, first responder yang kita buat extraction dan sebagainya kat on site. Kadang-kadang kita buat kerja office je, tak semestinya duduk dalam. So macam kalau dekat DFD ni pun, kita ada dua meja. Satu meja lab, workstation lab, dan juga meja staff yang biasa. So dia separate. Kita tak boleh campur-campur. Sebab apa, dalam lab tak boleh letak benda-benda personal. Untuk kerja-kerja case sahaja boleh duduk dalam computer workstation lab. Lepas tu court bila kena sapina. So kalau duduk dalam enforcement dan juga dalam forensik ni, nanti merasalah kena sapina pergi court. Ni home ni sebab COVID ni je. So MCMC punya DFD ni, MCMC pun dah generate apa nama ni, prosedur untuk work from home supaya kita boleh buat bagi jadi juga. So dekat DFD ni, work from home ke, work from mana ke, kerja sendiri jalan, kes sendiri jalan. Tak ada cuti. Maksudnya cuti weekend tu cuti lah, tapi sebab kerja by KPI kan. So kena kerja KPI lah. What is your expectation in DF field for the next 10 years? Saya masuk 2019 forensic, sebab sebelumnya enforcement dan sebelum ni lagi kat swasta kan, jadi programmer, jadi network support dan sebagainya. Tak perlu 10 years lah, 5 years saja. Sekarang Mobile antara satu yang saya dah kukuh lah. Komputer saya masih lagi orang kata masih lagi lah, pasal belajar tu memang continuous lah. Komputer punya artifacts ni lebih banyak. Evidence kita panggil artifacts lah. Evidence yang dah decode by forensic software kita panggil artifacts. Artifacts ni banyak. So memang tengah belajar overtime lagi. Jadi komputer punya forensik pun masih lagi orang kata tak pro ni. Dan mobile je dah okey sikit. And then dalam 5 tahun ni memang nak kejar network forensics lah. Sebab apa, saya pun memang data communication. Saya memang minat benda-benda network. So nak pergi ke network tu kena ada knowledge. Alhamdulillah legal punya part dah okey sikit, dah pergi executive diploma. Sekarang sebab apa, tinggal network ni 4 tahun. Daripada belajar network, masuk enforcement, masuk sini buat komputer dengan mobile, tak ada buat network punya benda 4 tahun. So nak kena refresh balik kan network punya knowledge dan sebagainya. Bila apply ni, jadi untuk saya kejar network forensik lah. Sebab apa, network forensik tak ramai. Dan kes-kes spam ni, spam dah, spoofing dan juga scamming ni kan masih lagi dekat tengah hangat dibincangkan macam mana nak solve. So saya pun nak duduk dalam pioneer yang mana yang mempelajari hal-hal ni dan dalam maybe boleh bantu jugalah duduk dalam orang kata frontier. Paris Malaysian ni dulu pernah kerja kat Jangan Taipo. Ya betul, pernah. Paris Malaysian tapi jawab juga tak apalah. Okay, dah habis masa tak apa, langgar sikit. Jadi ini tadi Cik Afika ada cerita ke?
Yang mana?
Identification, extraction, acquisition, preservation, analysis ni ada disebut ke? Tapi ini secara am je lah. Extraction boleh dilakukan dekat on-site ataupun dekat lab. Acquisition kita ada live acquisition dengan apa ni? Dead acquisition. Imaging pun sama, live imaging untuk dead imaging. Acquisition ni biasa untuk server lah. Imaging untuk hard disk. Live imaging ataupun acquisition maksudnya kita sistem tu tengah on, kita buat tarik data tu masa dia tengah on. Kalau dead ni maksudnya tengah padam. Okay, yang lain-lain tu saya rasa tak ada apa-apa kot. Okay, ni antara software yang kita pakai lah. Encase, Axiom, Autopsy, Celebrite, Exarawan dengan Zen. Ni forensic tools lah yang ada kat sini. Autopsy tak pakai secara official lagi lah, macam baru by research. Maksudnya tak ada siapa lagi ambil sertifikat untuk pergi training adalah online training. And then equipment, Fred ni high spec workstation lah yang ada dalam lab untuk setiap seorang analis untuk dibuat analisis yang buat extraction. W ni untuk buat imaging, kita ada WTX1, kita boleh buat imaging hard disk. Celebrite untuk extract telefon, ada 3 jenis extraction, physical, file system dan juga logical. SRY pun sama, tapi SRY lebih kepada logical. Lain-lain tools, lain-lain teknologi lah. Ada lebih kurang, cumanya ada pro dia, ada cons dia. Certification tadi dah sebut juga, ada 2 jenis, tool based dan knowledge based. Tool based ni bermaksud tool tu bila kita nak pakai kita kena ada certification. So kita kena ambil lah NC ni, Encase, MCFE ni, Magnet Axiom, CMFF, CCO dengan CCPA, CCME ni bawah Celebrite, Exarawan dengan Zan ni bawah Exarawan lah. Selain daripada tu, kita nak pakai tools tu kita kena ambil certification ni. Tapi kalau kita nak enhance lagi kita punya knowledge dan sebagainya, kita boleh ambil vendor neutral punya training dan juga certification macam CFCE ni. Yang SANS ni agak terkenal, saya rasa semua tahulah pasal SANS ni kan. So macam accepted betul ataupun untuk globally renowned dan juga diterima pakai lah. So SANS, kalau kita yang kat sini saya buka, tak tahu boleh share ke tak. Tengok sekejap, aku tengok sharing share web browser. Nampak website tak? Okay.
Okay.
So kalau tengok SANS ni, dia roadmap dia dah. Ini untuk certification SANS lah. Certification SANS ni mahal betul lah kan. Saya sendiri pun tak ada lagi, tapi individual insyaAllah akan ambil. Sini analyst ada yang ada, sebab apa, macam lesen forensik juga, certification ni kena renew. As in, bila expired, kena ambil balik dia punya refresher course dan sebagainya lah. Sebab apa, certification kan, kita kena sentiasa competent untuk pegang certification tu. Dan kalau dalam network Cisco dan sebagainya pun masih kena ada renewal. Lebih kurang macam ni lah. Saya rasa saya punya tu sampai sini je. Cumanya 2 soalan tadi. Afika? Sekejap eh. 2 soalan tadi ya. Minta maaf langgar masa sikit. Baru 6 minit lah. Mana soalan dia? Chat. Betul, SAN is expensive. Consultancy pay kalau ada justification yang proper dan disokong oleh ketua jabatan dan sebagainya lah. Jadi bila sampai masanya untuk ambil, boleh apply lah. Kalau kami kat sini boleh apply. Make sure kena lulus lah kan. Dah bayar mahal-mahal tak lulus nanti. Jangan balik sini tu. Okay, tadi soalannya adalah mana soalan lagi banyak. Aku boleh control F tak? Aku tak boleh. Mana soalan yang aku tak jawab tadi? Ada 2. Tak ingat.
Terangkan define locality of offence.
Locality of offence.
Mana?
Aku tulis balik lah. Dia tanya terangkan locality of offence dan juga satu lagi adalah threat hunting. Boleh ni kan? Apa nama ni? Saudara Afika bantu dalam penerangan. Locality of offence ni saya tak pasti. Maksudnya aku nak kena refer balik lah. Kalau jawab tanya tu halang, bagi mana masalah pula.
Threat nanti ke threat? THREAD ke THREAD?
Threat hunting.
Threat ke threat?
Threat.
Oh, saya threat nanti.
No. Ni more kepada locality, more kepada legal kan. Threat hunting ni more kepada network. Network kan threat hunting. Seperti lah.
Is threat hunting ni more to intelligence, threat intelligence maybe?
Nanti dia cari
Mesinnya saya bagi saudara Afrika tu. Ni agak sebab tinggal lama sangat. Threat hunting. Ni sebab mau kepada cybersecurity kan. Kita menerang digital forensics. Boleh? Threat hunting.
So threat hunting ni kalau mau tu cybersecurity, sebab saya dah tak ingat sangat on in terms of cybersecurity, sebab saya dah tinggalkan cybersecurity dah lama. So before ni saya mau pen test, tapi saya dah tak buat tu lagi dah kan. So threat hunting ni literally bila dia dah dapat query tu, bila dia dah start buat threat hunting tu, dia akan dapat lead tau. So dia akan buat investigation daripada situ. Ni apa yang saya faham lah. Dia akan buat investigation daripada situ from the threat hunting. And then
betul lah, dia more kepada intelligence lah. Dia
so dia investigate, dia execute. Lepas tu dia tengok sama ada dia dah resolve incident tu tak. So you search any threat exist.
Saya
Ini mau tu network tu.
saya nak tambah lah. setiap tahun ISS World ni dia ada buat exhibition untuk law enforcement agencies. Kat situ banyak vendor-vendor cybersecurity datang, diorang share tentang macam tadi sebut analytics. Kita tengok apa benda yang ada kat internet, kat environment, semua dia masuk kat dunia sistem tu, di filter supaya dia cari untuk dia cari apa nama ni, threat lah. Dia tengok pattern, kalau ada orang communicate terrorism dan sebagainya. Diorang ada tools ni diorang jual untuk law enforcement agency lah.
Untuk threat exist ni dengan threat kalau untuk kita search for any threat exist in the environment ni more to department network security.
Itu tak network intelligence kan? Jabatan Risikan yang buat benda ni. So kami tak dapat nak komen banyak lah untuk threat hunting sebab apa, bukan core kat sini. Faham sikit-sikit tu, faham lah juga threat hunting tu macam mana, tapi in detail tu tak dapat nak terangkan kat sini lah. tapi betul lah, dia tengok keseluruhan environment yang ada, and then dia filter. Banyak vendor jual kepada law enforcement agency lah untuk sistem tu filter dan baca pattern tu. So tak perlu buat manual lah, dia ada tools dia. Locality of offense ni pun saya pun tak sure. Ini saya pun tak dapat nak jawab pada masa ni. Saya minta maaf lah yang tu.
Dia ada
maybe
locator offense tu.
dia nak fahamkan locator of offense.
Kita punya akta
maksudnya dari segi legal apakah itu locator of offense. Okay, ini nanti maybe boleh, ni siapa ya, locality of offense tadi, Afika.
Kau yang tanya tu.
Sorry. nanti boleh ni lah, boleh email, kami boleh check dulu dan terangkan, sebab tak nak bagi maklumat yang kurang tepat lah. Saya rasa ada soalan yang terlepas tak? Untuk work in this area, cukup tak just ambil semua cert tu?
Mana?
Ni. Ya, untuk dalam bidang ni
Cert apa?
Macam saya cakap, saya terangkan tadi, sekurang-kurangnya background in technical tu kena ada. Sebab apa, maybe dia boleh adapt, tapi kepayahan dia untuk dia adapt technical dan juga forensik pada masa yang sama, melainkan dia memang very adaptive dan juga quick learner, tu lain cerita lah kan.
Kalau you if you ada technical background, it is a plus lah. But then if you have the commitment and the passion to try something new, especially macam in bidang forensic, you are welcome to do so. Sebab dalam department kami ada je yang background accounting, auditor, bahagian law, civil, and still at the end of the day they become a forensic analyst. So tak ada masalah pun as long as you have the commitment and you have the passion on the job that you do.
Hati kena nak dulu lah.
Sebab like I said again, this is a career, it's a long term career. And you need to have a discipline lah untuk apa yang you buat. Sebab to be fair, bukan sebila you ambil satu profession in technical ni bukan senang, because you need cert, you need commitment, you need passion, you need to have the time. But for forensic, to be an analyst, at least you need to have again, you masuk je, you ada probation 8 bulan, 8 months probation. And then competency test. Before the competency test, you need to have at least one mobile certificate, one mobile forensic cert and one computer forensic cert.
Macam mana nak apply? How to apply? Paling mudah sekali.
Ni apply kerja or apply intern?
Dia
Private.
Sama kan. Kalau nak apply boleh tengok dekat job street MCNC lah, tu paling senang. Sebab apa, job street MCNC tu diorang HR selalu update lah kalau ada kekosongan. Bila tak ada kosong, memang kat job street tu kosong. Kalau ada kekosongan, dia akan bodoh. Benda tu tak lama, biasa iklan sekejap. Nah, bila dia iklankan, so kena selalu tengok lah.
So ada soalan lagi tak?
Presentation sampai situ je. Kalau ada soalan lagi,
kita ada
dah ada dah.
Oh, 2012. So,
Minta maaf lah langgar masa. On behalf of the organizer, we can
Oh, okay.
Ada satu last question.
Mhm.
Regarding steganography, how do you tackle this type of investigation when the suspect don't give cooperation?
Okay, usually so far for my case, saya nak handle lebih daripada 100 case. So far Stegano punya case
Ada. Saya
untuk
personally tak
case
ada.
yang dia nak case objektif Stegano tak ada. But then saya pernah jumpa yang dia memang ada buat Stegano dalam dia punya exhibit tu lah. Tapi untuk kes objektif dia memang tak nak pun. So what I did was masa saya go through bila kita dah decode information yang kita dah extract tu, kami akan nampak dekat satu hexadecimal punya screen. Okay, so kat situ usually kalau saya tengok gambar usually text.txt atau gambar kita bila tengok dekat size file tu kita dah boleh agak sama ada the data is suspicious or not. So masa saya tengah go through suspect punya data, saya macam nampak ada satu gambar dia punya besar tu luar biasa. So saya ambil dia punya nama file, saya go through hexa. When saya go through tu apparently the header and the footer tu tak sama. So what I did was saya extract keluar header dengan extension satu, footer satu. Dia dekat dalam, dekat hexa. So sebab extension still .jpeg, so saya extract keluar gambar tu, saya guna tools lain, saya try mula saya pakai saya ada pakai Jim, saya ada pakai external hexa punya reader, dan saya try tukar dia punya header. And from situ apparently dalam gambar tu dia ada satu document file yang lain tau. Tapi case tu tak ada, dia tak nak pun document file tu. So saya just very curious lah apa yang sebenarnya dia simpan dalam tu. Sebab dia nak sampai stega-stega kan. But yes, tapi before ni sebab before saya join MCMC ni, masa saya student di KL, banyak saya buat stegano ni lah. When you enter, I'm sure some of the master students ni industry punya experience lebih banyak daripada saya. Saya dengar dia ada 10 tahun, ada lebih daripada 10 tahun. So mesti ada hackers kat dalam group ni.
Salah. Basic saya ni tak boleh bagi tahu. Tapi quite ni above average lah, above average. Kalau basic
ni tadi
boleh tanya soalan? Haji Rahmat saya tanya soalan kita korang. Boleh tanya kat
boleh.
Saya nak pergi mana? Korang. Encik Aiman lah. Nak tanya, saya ada buat ni apa nama ni, Kahoot kalau nak main. Kalau nak lah, tapi dalam 5 minit je.
Kau nak tanya soalan lagi kot?
Kalau nak lah, tak nak tak apa, tak ada masalah. Sebab tu prepare in case ada extra masa. Tapi dah lebih masa ni tak
ada soalan lagi tak sebelum
saja dah nak tengok pemahaman.
Ada soalan?
Saya je.
Oh, okay. Ada berapa soalan tak lagi? Please organize more sessions. Okay, if let's say for real case analysis, I prefer if the session is face to face. Okay, for real case analysis, because the content that we have, kita tak boleh easily. Sebab webinar ni kami tak boleh nak, dia online, so kami tak boleh nak kekang ada certain information yang memang tak boleh nak tunjuk dekat luar. So maybe after COVID, bila PKPB ni dah tak ada, you can send a formal email to me and I will forward to Tuan Haji Rahmat. We can make a session for all of you based on real case analysis. Kami akan tunjukkanlah macam mana analisis tu kami buat, macam mana data yang kami nampak. But for online ada kekangan sikit sebab kami tak boleh nak prevent benda tu daripada macam leaking or anything, you know.
Tak boleh tunjuk ni lah sebab benda tu sekali dah upload kat internet kan. tak boleh hilang lah.
Based on session.
Ni nak sebab cari topik ni.
Okay, anything else?
So last question lah tadi. So kita boleh Okay. So kita dah habis lah kita punya session. On behalf of organizer, ucapkan terima kasih lah kepada kedua-dua speaker kita yang share information. So kita ni boleh tak semua buka webcam sekali lagi untuk kita ambil screenshot?
Kenapa screenshot?
Mengacir.
Masuk. Okay.
Tunggu orang isi dulu.
Email tadi dah dapat kan? Ke nak letak lagi sekali email?
Boleh ambil lah.
Email aku. Aman kau type sini je.
Afrika.
Salah tu.
Afrika. Tadi kita letak email jap. Betul.
Alright, ni saya punya email. Cik Ayam punya. Okay, ni Cik Ayam punya. So if you have anything macam nak forward request untuk buat
connection macam
Sorry sudah tekan.
dia tekan airplane mode pula tiba. So you can send a forward email to us, any of us. We will forward to Tuan Haji Rahmat, and then we will reply back to you whether we can have the knowledge session here in MCMC, and after that we can make a quick tour for the forensic lab. So for now tak kot sebab PKPB kan.
Sebab PKPB ni tak boleh datang. Kita orang pun tak boleh datang office ni. Apatah lagi orang luar.
Alright.
Okay, so I would like also to thank all participants for their participation. With the result of Fatihah, we will end our today's session here. Hope to see all of you again later.
Alright, thank you on behalf of thank you for inviting us for this webinar.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you for the sharing.
Thank you, Cik Ian. Thank you, Atika.
For the knowledge.
Thank you.
Thank you for staying up until the end. Tunggu dengan merepek-repek.
Kamu dah tutup aja.